We're good? Yeah. Okay. Good evening. It's 5:15. I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Assessment Appeals for deliberations to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just wanted to add that today is what? Tuesday?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's Pie Day. Pie Day.
Oh,
Tuesday, March 14th?
Tuesday, March 14th.
Okay, yeah.
Pie like an eating pie or pie like in mathematical pie?
Whatever you want. Oh.
Okay. All righty. So we'll start with, attendance. Let's start with attendance.
Yeah.
Pauline Daly,
Here.
Kathleen Griffin,
Here.
Peter Rupert,
Here.
and Paula Crusoe is here. Carol Langham.
Here.
Okay. So all the members are here, are in attendance. Okay. First on the schedule.
Do you want to do the commercials, or you want to just wait on those? You want to do those first, or?
I'll do those last.
Okay.
We'll do the residential, we'll start on residential then.
Okay.
Let's see, appeal number 2 is Megan and John McNamara, 589 Fairfield Beach Road. They have a beach condo. Let's see. The town's value is $1,875,500, and their opinion of value should be $1,550,000, I think. She thinks her taxes are out of whack compared to the others in the other homes in the beach area. She has presented a appraisal report. I believe Jeff Smith was here and went over it with us during the hearings. So has everybody had a chance to review that appraisal?
Yes, I have.
Yes, I have, yeah, okay. All right. So, any comments, Blaine?
Well, I think they felt like they were being compared to single-family houses as opposed to condos, even though it's a freestanding condo, it is a condo. And so the comps that were used, I believe, were all condos. Let me just go quickly.
Did we lose somebody?
No, I think someone else joined.
Okay.
It's me. It took me a while to get back on. It's Paula.
Oh,
Oh, it's.
Hi.
okay.
So she's the town of Fairfield logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, two of them were in Burr Court, so the subject property is in Fairfield Cottages,
Great.
and then he used 2 in Burr Court. I can't remember if the third one was condo or.
1035 Fairfield Beach Road. I don't know, I don't think that's a condo, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, no, it's a
Actually, he
single,
used 6 comps.
yeah, it's a single family. It's that super long, narrow house on a very narrow lot. It's down Fairfield Beach Road. I'm just trying to think if I
That's the
have.
one Katie had. Maybe not.
It's really narrow and the lot super long. So if you look at it on the GIS. This is it, that's a picture of the field card. Do you remember that one?
I do remember that one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so that's, that was comp number 3.
Fairfield Beach, Burr Court. I think the Burr
Yeah,
Court
actually, six comps,
Oh, bummer.
Yes,
not just 3.
Yeah, no, I did correct
Yeah.
that.
Let's see now. All the comps are direct waterfront.
Helpful because it provides more data input.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, Helene, was this the one where I had asked him if he does a straight average, and he said no, and then when I did the calculation to do a straight average, it came in higher than the number being requested. That's what I remember.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that, Carol. I do. I just can't remember if it was this property, but I remember you asking that. So then if that's your recollection, it must be for this property. But the town has it valued at 18755. That seems high to me for a condo. Because the two at Burr Court,
Yeah.
which I thought were good comps, well, the adjusted value on that is, 689 is 13991. And the adjusted value on 685 is 16, I think, something.
It's 1603500.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would say
I'm
that
not
those,
sure I like the last comp, but, but he certainly gives other, good ones.
I like the Burke Court ones mostly because I think they're good comps, but like he says in his description, there's a limited number of waterfront condos.
Yeah.
So, and there are a limited
Yes.
number of waterfront condos, so.
Well, and
And
they're also freestanding.
that-
And they're freestanding.
The photos were helpful too. I mean, this is, somewhat dated interior. I don't know if we could someone look on the field card when it was updated, but like bathroom, that dark marble or whatever is pretty dated. The other bathroom, kept wallpaper, but it's just not what I would consider.
Yeah, he made adjustments for the interior condition.
Yeah.
It was built in 2014, right, the subject property? And it was modular, remember they said that? The homeowner was here with Jeff.
Yeah.
It was a modular home, and
Was that the one that was modular? That was the other lady that was
we have two
modular.
modulars, we have two modulars,
This
one at
one's
the
modular
beach,
too?
this one, and then we have another one up on like High Ridge.
Something like, I remember the one on High Ridge, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yep, so it is FEMA compliant, it was built in 2014. So, when I was
Yeah,
looking at some of the, right. So it's not that old compared to the other ones were built in 1930, 1983, and 1900, his first three comps.
It's funny because you look at the pictures and it really doesn't reflect a 2014 home.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, if you didn't say that, I wouldn't have guessed it by looking at the pictures.
I mean, with
Thought
that
it was older.
that beach is, I mean, that was a thing, but it ain't anymore.
It wasn't, yes, it had its day. The wallpaper in the bathroom, carpeted
Yeah.
floors, there's wallpaper in other places.
I have some thoughts on this one, and I'll tell you what I thought. I did send everybody earlier, because I had asked, one of the things that Jeff Smith had said in the appeal was that values in the beach area did not go up prior to October 2020, that everything was relatively flat in the entire reval period, and that there was no rise in that, up to October 2020. So that's sort of against everything that I had been told or heard, so I did ask the assessor if he could provide some data on, what the market in the beach area did in the months prior to coming up to October 10, 2020. So
Well, that
October 1.
summer, I mean, we were kind of at a standstill. No, there were no open houses. Nobody was.
Yeah, all I
A lot
know
of
is
them
that,
were just virtual
Yeah, they're
tours.
virtual tours, yep.
Right.
all I know is that
So-
right, but the prices were rising coming up into up to October 2020, and they continued to rise after that. And we've seen that with the time.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
well, yes, to a degree, but not the COVID rise, that didn't really kick in until, I'd say the fall market is when it started to kick in. Summer was still.
Right, but we're October 1, 2020. Anyway, so Greg Lane, said, as I said before, that it was 1%, roughly, he said it in a couple of his appeals, that he uses the time adjustment starting in April of May, or between 0.07% and 1.2%, depending upon the location in town. And for the bank appraisals and in all of his appraisals, he puts in a time adjustment. So that's what he adds starting, so if the sale was in 2019 or before, the reval period Once he gets to October, to April 1 or May 1, he starts adding that 1% to the value of that sale to come up to October 1, 2020 value, which is what we're trying to get to.
But he did say that some of the banks were requiring him to do it. Some of the banks.
But he
Not every
also,
bank,
I think he
can
agreed
I
with
just
the
finish?
bank, sorry.
Some of the banks were, and, again, appraisals are done for different reasons. A bank appraisal is done usually for a purchase. It's not done for any other reason, and it could be that the banks wanted those numbers up so that the appraisals would, so that it would appraise out. They wanted to lend money. If you want to lend money, it happens all the time at certain times in the market. If they want to lend money, they'll let it go. If they don't want to lend money, they'll ask you for even more comps, and they'll try to find a reason not to give you the money.
Right.
So, I don't really put too much stock in what the bank tells them to do, because it wasn't every bank. If it was an industry standard, I would say, well, if that's what you have to do. But when it's some of them, for whatever, we don't know their reasoning. So I take it with a grain of salt. I'm not saying he's not telling the truth. I believe him. But I think it's not a standard that we can just put into place.
Okay.
So that's just my thought.
So, at any rate, having done 650 and however many in the beach, and I do believe that the sales that are closer to October 1, 2020 are more value, more closely reflect what the market value is. So if you took the Burcourt ones are both 2019. So if you time adjust them the way that, the appraisers are saying, the comps would come up to about $1.7 million. That would be one of the $1,751,000 for the first comp, for comp number 1. That Burcourt comes up to $1,751,000 if you time adjust it at 1% to come up. So I would say if comp 1 is a good comp, it's not FEMA compliant, it's an older one. And the other thing I would say about it, it is in Burcourt, which has 7 to 8 condos right in the structure. So they have very much of a shared parking area. It feels like a real condo, where the subject property is on 20,000 square feet. That's 10,000
Well, the subject property is
square
actually
feet.
isn't it on, 10,000 square feet?
10,000 each, right? And they each have their own, I looked at it pretty closely. They each have their own beachfront. It feels like a 10,000 square foot lot. If you divide it in half between the two of them, they both have the beachfront. Comp number 3 is a 5,000 square foot. That's the house down the end. So it's got twice as much land as that super skinny house down on Fairfield Beach Road. So comp 1 time adjusted for me is 1,751, and I do think that given that the subject property is FEMA compliant and is built in 2014 and has, land is valuable, right? We can't see it in the condos, but I do believe that's a much more valuable lot than the houses on Burcourt. So whether they need an adjustment or not, it's difficult to say with the condos, but I'm not seeing myself coming below 175.
So you're gonna,
I'd be closer to 1.8, that's where I think.
so you're making the time adjustment, even though we don't have any background to do that?
Well, I did send out the information that I asked the assessor to put together.
Okay.
Sent that to you guys.
I saw that.
It includes a handout or, from one of the broker real estates, it's William Pitt or something like that. It talks about what was going on in the market. It shows some comparable sales, properties that sold in 2019 and then resold again the next year, so you can see that the market is rising. So I just don't believe that the beach, especially in the beach area, that it was 100%, didn't move at all from whenever the dates are on these two comps. I mean, and you can disagree with me, but that's sort of where I'm at with that.
Okay.
These are older sales. It's August of 2019. It's outside the reval period. And
But
comp number 2 is March of 2019. So that's a much older sale as well.
But if this
So-
sold in 22 for 1,875, is that?
Which one are we looking at for 1,875?
Wait a minute, let me go back.
Carol, you have anything to say there?
No, it's appraised at 1,875.
Wait a minute.
I just don't think it's like a condo. I think it's like a freestanding house. It's on a 20,000 square foot lot. They have
However,
10,000 square feet of property.
You have a good
and
point.
A lot of beachfront, and they're in FB1 or, they're.
I don't go by
really-
that.
But they're in a really,
Sure
they
that.
have a lot of beach, right?
They
The
do.
guys
They
at
have-
the end of the
You're
peninsula
right,
don't have.
but a
land
condo is,
value, so.
it's, not every condo is the same, but remember that it still is a condo. We have to keep that in mind. You don't have to.
Right,
I'm
that's
just
why
saying
I don't
keep
think
in
it
mind.
would be as high as a single on a 10,000 square foot lot.
Right.
You got a
No, it would not. You're right.
2014 FEMA compliant home that was beachfront, you know, on a 10,000 square foot lot, I would say that that would be worth more than this particular house. But I think this house is more valuable than the 2 Burr Courts for
What did-
several
Well,
reasons.
currently the
What
appraiser
did
didn't
this
think
sell
so.
for in?
I don't think it did, didn't they build it? It was a modular.
It was a modular.
2014.
Oh, okay,
Whether they had it on
that's
the
why they
market or
have
not,
the
I
sale
don't
date,
know.
okay.
If we can not talk for a second, because Carol's like, it's hard when you're not here, so I just want to get her opinion. Carol, what would you like to say? Carol?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just listening. I didn't want to interrupt because I'm listening to everybody. I mean, I agree that as a freestanding condo, it's hard to compare to, I mean, this is a hard one, period, because it doesn't fit into the cookie cutter of, you know, when we compare properties to properties, there's less variables on some of these comps. This is a really tricky one.
Right.
But, you know, in my gut as a realtor, I don't believe that the 1850 it just doesn't feel like somebody would pay that back then. I mean, I agree with Kathleen that somewhere in the middle, you know, not that I want to disagree with appraisers, because I really actually, my personal and professional preference is to not disagree with these qualified experts. But if we're going to try, you know, make an adjustment, I'm definitely open to that. But it doesn't sound, I don't know, it doesn't sound like the theme was coming off of a one.
I agree. I don't think they would pay anyone would pay that back then for this condo, especially with the condition
How
interior.
about, so for a second, let's look at comp 3, right? Because that's the freestanding house, and that sold in September of 2020, so that's really close. It is a larger house and sold for $1,735,000. That's that super skinny house. But it's on 55,000 square feet. And it's not FEMA compliant. It was built in 2002, and that sold for $1,735,000. And if you read
That's
Jeff,
1053?
That is,
1035, I think,
1035.
1035 square feet.
Oh, no wonder.
Comp number 3. And Jeff did say in his, you know, in his notes, he said, you know, I gave the most weight to comps 1 and 2 because they are detached waterfront condos, and to comp 3 because it is the most recent sale. So that's what he's saying in his notes. So,
Yep.
I mean, I would take, you know, think
I
about that
think that-
skinny house. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that was canceled, it didn't sell for 1995,
Which one is that?
1053. It was listed for 2349, didn't sell. And then it reduced, it was 1995,
But it did sell for
And-
$1,735,000.
and then it, yes,
Yeah,
that's what
in
it,
September of 2020.
yes.
Right, and that's his third comp. And it is elevated, but it's not FEMA compliant, right? It was built prior to it.
Sorry, I cut you off, Carol.
What else were you saying, Carol?
No, FEMA compliance, in this 2014 property, I personally don't think it really comes into play. I mean, it's a couple extra thousand. If you didn't pay cash, if you bought it as a mortgage, right, you have to have flood insurance, but you don't need it if you pay cash. I don't really see that being a big deal. But I do think owning a condo, even if it is detached versus a fully private residence, is a big deal. I mean, I know there are people who will not want to buy, even though it is a 2-member only condo. They don't want other people to have say in their, you know, world. They're just,
Especially when you're paying that kind of money.
they just don't want it. So, what, you know, it doesn't matter what the bylaws are, and if they're loosey-goosey and you're not sharing even roofs or anything, they just don't, there are people that don't want that. So, you know, I'm taking that into my head, into consideration.
Yeah, I do want to say about the FEMA though, too, that we don't want to forget that the 50% rule applies. So if you are not FEMA compliant, you can't improve your property more than 50%, or you have to elevate it.
But that's in a 12-month period. So somebody
Right,
who,
you gotta do it in small
right,
chunks.
somebody can wait the 12 months and then do another one.
That's right.
That
Even so-
matters
But
too.
that's,
Hey, pod houses, it doesn't, in my head, I agree with you, Kathleen, it doesn't matter as much in these kind of homes that are already renovated. Like, they could update the kitchen or the bath and it'd be fine. Where it matters is places like where we sell on Catherine Terrace and, you know,
Yeah. I agree.
real
Yeah.
homes need a massive remodel.
Yeah, I was gonna
and
make
even
that
then,
point too.
they get it
Go
through.
to the house next to this one, right? That house on the same lot, the other condo in this this condo complex. is
Because a
old.
lot of these houses are already maxed out on their, footprint anyway.
Yeah, they can't get any bigger.
You know?
Right.
Right, that's what I would do. Yeah, 2014 is, I mean, they had that first set of standards. It's just not, right? There was 2 FEMA rulings. I think the first one was in 2014, and then it changed again in 2017. Well,
So the appraisal came in at 1,550, right?
Right, 1,550.
Right.
Like I said, I'm seeing something in the low 17s, that's what I'm thinking, 173 or something like that. So that it matched, so it's pretty similar to that skinny house on half the land down the end that's, you know, that's a 2002 house, and or the the first Burr Court condo, when you price adjust it up, it comes into the low 17s. And that is on a complex with, you know, 8 condos. So I would say, you know, would I rather have 2 condos or 8 condos? I'd probably rather have, I know I'd rather have 2, because I'm not sharing my beach with the other 6 houses that are on my complex, right? The other 6 houses are behind those 2. Those 2 Burr Court are on the water, but there's 6 more houses behind them. So they're using your beach with you. So I just think it needs to be higher than, you know, as I said, I think about 175 or somewhere in there. I don't think, I can't see 155.
Let me just look at one thing here.
And I'm happy to make a motion if that will, you know, move it forward a little bit.
I still
If
think
anybody
it's
has
too high. I mean, I
comments.
think, I'm willing to go somewhere in the middle or do something.
That's
Not
what
go
I
down to
think.
1.5, but I think the 1.7 is too high.
Yeah.
and I really hate to disagree with appraisers. I'm on the record with that. I'm sorry if I'm beating a dead horse, but
I don't usually disagree with them either. And I'm not really saying that I disagree with this one. I have no problem with this appraisal, but, you know, if it means, you know, if everybody else sees it a different way, I'm willing to look at it and be open-minded about it and say, okay, well, I can go with something else, that, you know.
Yeah, and I mean,
Or the other thing we could do is we could call Jeff Smith back and have him come back and give us more information. After all, you went to Ross after we said we weren't gonna let Ross be involved. We got comments from him.
when you look at the interiors of 685 and 689, it's just, they're so much nicer than 589, than the subject property.
Oh, I was wondering that myself, Colleen, how it compared.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
No,
those
the modular-
courts
the
are
modular
really
homes.
pretty inside.
They're just older.
Yeah, but pretty, really nice. They did a nice job.
Well,
with those.
Yeah, you're just sharing your lot with other people, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, you know, you got 6 other homes in your complex, you got a lot of
I
cars.
mean, I'd be okay somewhere between the 155 and 17, somewhere. Where is it? Let me just look at that appraisal again.
I mean, I'll make a motion to take it to 17 if,
I agree with that.
okay, I'll make a motion to,
I'm thinking it's still too much. What about you, Ann?
I tend to think that's too much too. But, I just wanted, why can't I find it? I just wanna see what he adjusted those first two to again. Refresh my memory here.
Does anyone disagree with the idea to ask this Jeff Scott?
Well, you're cutting in and out, Carol, try again. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
not, yeah.
1, 6, and, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I'd be okay
was
with
curious
6.5.
what Paulette made the suggestion to inquire with this appraiser in more depth. Does anyone, how would that work, Paulette? I mean, we would have to have
Well,
all
we've
of us
never-
listed.
yeah, we've never done that before. Nobody says we can't do it. However, we get into the trouble where if we do it for one, we have to do it for everybody. That was a suggestion based on the fact that in this case, I believe that Ross gave us information about the market in general, which, by the way, I don't know that he should be doing. He's not really, although he sent it from another company. And then, let's see, what else was it? I think he gave us statistics and comps. He did provide us with comps, I believe, of sold comps, unless I'm trying to find the,
Yeah, this is a smaller project. I'm looking at the square footage, right? A lot of the adjustments on here, again, he didn't adjust for the timing on the sale. And on the first report, you add 100,000, really, if you do time adjustment. You may say no, but that's what it does to the numbers. It's just over 100,000 if you time adjust 1% starting in April.
okay,
And
well,
then his square footage is higher, so he takes off for the square footage and the fireplaces. So if you it's 1.7, if you take the first Burr Court and time adjust it up, it becomes up to 1.7.
well, why should we be adjusting it up? One appraiser said that some banks made him do it.
No, well,
That's not industry-wide, that's not every bank, and that's not for this kind of a reason. So I'm not gonna go with that and just say, okay, let's just jack everybody up 1% a month. I just don't see that as correct.
We have to do it for everybody.
Right, we have to do it for everybody, and I think that's the point, and I don't wanna do it for everybody.
okay, I basically do. I take a
I
look
see
at the
that,
sales
yeah.
that are older,
Mhm.
and July sales are good. I prefer October sales and November and December sales, because I think that they are more reflective of October 1, 2020, which is where we're trying to get to.
No, I'm not trying to get to there. I'm trying to get to, when I bought this house, this is what I paid. Now, get me comps like that. I don't want a comp from October of 2020. I didn't buy it then. When I bought it, this is what it was. Why am I being compared to comps that are 8 months older if you tell me it's 1% a month? I didn't pay that. Yes, this is the date. As of this date, these are the values. But you can't take everybody and put them all up to that. We're gonna change everybody's value up to 10, 120? That doesn't make sense to me. I don't see it. I see if somebody bought their house in April of 2020, and, maybe March of 2020, if May and June, if maybe something like that, but to go all the way into the next quarter, the next sales, I just don't see that as the right thing to do. Wayne?
Well, I still think that, I see it in the middle. I don't think it's.
No, I'm agreeing that it's not.
I'd be happy with 1,650. That's adding another 100,000 onto the appraised price. That's where I kind of see it.
How about 1,675?
How about 1,650?
The bidding war.
It's bidding more, let's bid it down.
What do you think, Carol?
Let's go for it.
What?
Well, what? Let's go for it, what?
Let's
Well-
get it done.
Well, Kathleen suggested 1,675.
Right, and we suggested 1,650.
We're
All right.
splitting hairs here, so let's do it.
I'll make a
I
motion,
can-
I'll make a motion to reduce the amount to grant in part to 1,675,000.
All
That's
right.
my motion.
Okay. Carol, how do you vote? Because we can't see you, so you
Yes.
can't have your razor. Okay, so that's.
I'm raising my
all in
hand. I'm
favor.
raising
So
my-
Carol's in favor. We can't see you, so you don't have to raise your hand. Keep your hands down.
But I
Maybe you
want
can
to.
try it
I'm a
again.
role model. Here, yes. Present.
Okay, so all in
I'm
favor?
by the way.
Maybe you should
I'm
try
taking
to
this-
log in again, use a different browser, because you're cutting in and out on the speaker, it's a little. I'm just saying,
okay.
maybe if you tried rather than Chrome, try a different,
Oh, that's a good idea.
I don't know, if it happens to you've got something blocking on your browser that's not allowing pop-ups or something, maybe. I
All
don't
right,
know.
let's
Yeah.
continue now.
Okay, so
Sorry.
we're voting, and, it was all in favor. Carol's voted yes, so the rest of us, we just raise our hands. It's unanimous.
Okay.
What's Peter? Unanimous?
Unanimous at 1,675, so the
Right.
value will be, it'll be a grant in part. Who's writing this down?
Yep,
Oh,
I got it.
Oh, Carol's got it. Okay, so it's a grant in part, Carol,
Yeah,
to $1,675,000.
yeah.
Okay, that's good.
That's a $200,000.
Okay, that's that one.
Okay.
Next is, appeal number 4, Warren Lappa. That's where he lives. I know it's on Raleigh Boulevard. Okay. Let's see, Warren Lappa, 200 Raleigh Boulevard, single-family home. Let's see now. The town's value was $1,722,600. His opinion of value was $1,450. And he's saying that his house is appraised at a much higher value to comparable homes in his neighborhood. Let's see why. I should change this. Let's see.
so
Let me go back.
some of his comps, oh, I remember, we thought some of his comps were just not,
Right, he had a couple that were okay, but 2 of them were
yeah.
They're
out
all
of the period.
2017.
One's 2017, I think, and some of them are 2021, right?
2021 was
Yeah.
no good.
I think he had 2 in-
275 Valley, and
Yeah, I think he had 2 in
2017 was
2020.
no good.
Yeah.
Although he did say he thought that 275 Lally Boulevard, that sold in July of 2021, was his best comp.
Which one did he say?
275 Lally. It's 6 months after, so we can look at sales in the year after.
Let's look at the spin,
It's gonna
okay.
be a little higher, right? It sold for $1,840,000.
Okay, so then,
Built in 2017, 3,200 square feet.
if we're gonna look at sales 6 months past the date, then we need to look at sales 6 months prior to the
Right,
date.
and you back them up and back. You go
Right.
1% back and go 1% up, right?
Where'd I get that 1% again from?
Whatever, 0.07 to 1.2, I don't know. The beach was super busy, right? I mean, that was a hot market.
At a point, yes, it became super busy, it did, and it stayed that way, there's no doubt about that.
Right.
He had something on his sheet that was a lot easier for me to see. Wait a minute now. Oh, he's got a whole little thing written up here.
Yeah, but he didn't,
Okay.
I don't think he understood that some of those comps were too old. So I think we decided we would look at the 160 Edward, the 365 Lally, and the 275 Lally, even though the 275 one was a later sale at 1.8. Some of them, he has a corner lot, right? So that was, he did try to look at other corner lots.
He did, yep.
And on his sheet, he did use like averages, right? For the sale prices, he used averages, and for assessments, he used the averages, which, and his average square footage.
But he's got like no backyard.
Yeah, which we tried to explain to him, you know, the average part isn't really the best way to, you can't do that because more square footage, right? Square footage doesn't increase linearly, whatever that word is. So. He did.
Hey, it looks like,
Okay, I'm gonna, let's see, I reviewed the evaluation. Okay, so what he was saying is that he received the revaluation notice that his taxes increased 22.5% based on the reassessed value of the house.
Right, and we know down the beach, in average, it was 20%. Everybody went up 20% in the beach. That's just what happened. No, not the sales. That's just in general. When MVS did their numbers, they said they showed each neighborhood code about the average for a neighborhood code. I don't know, but if it was that way for this particular neighborhood, that definitely was at Fairfield Beach. And
But
most
again,
of it, Sherman.
that's their numbers. They make their numbers work. So who knows if that's really the right number? We'll never know. Because I can make any number come out if I just work at it long enough. But we don't know. I mean, it could be right, it might, we don't know.
He did get a
Well,
change.
well, Mike, can I just ask a question though?
Mhm.
You tell us that the appraisers are sworn to do it, and, you know, so that we should be, accepting, right? But then you have the same, you don't have the same, faith in what the master appraisal,
And I can tell you why.
you know? Yeah.
Because because it is a mass appraisal. It can't be apples to apples. There's no way they could do it that way, because there's too many houses. They have to do a mass appraisal, and I recognize
There's
that.
Carol.
But,
You got in.
Oh,
but,
So we can only see the top of your head. You need to move your
They
camera a
use-
little bit.
algorithms, models, things like that to get the numbers. But that doesn't mean that's the sale value, that's not the fair market value. That's the number that they came up with based on algorithm. And they have to build a model and, you know, to determine how to make it work. So anybody can do that. I don't think that they're sworn to do it. They don't, it's not like I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. We've never asked them. Are they sworn to do whatever? Do they have to meet some kind of a standard? They have to meet the state standard, which in most cases, the state standard is the minimum of acceptance. It's not the maximum. So they have a low standard and it's easy to meet as far as I'm concerned. I'm saying that, I'm guessing it, that I don't have exact information on. But that's why I feel that, like, when I look at this, and somebody shows me comps, the actual sale, compared to their algorithm, I have a hard time accepting the algorithm, because it's on a mass basis. It's not, nobody said, oh, here's what your house is worth. This is what the market's doing. This is what we think it is. So that's why I have trouble with it. I struggle with it because of that. When you show me comps, and you show me, when I get customers out, they don't ask me the algorithm the town used. They want to know what the comp is. And every place we look at what we're supposed to do, it's fair market value, and this is what fair market value means. That's why I don't always agree with them. That's my whole theory of it.
He did get a change from MVS, a small deduction. He got, I think, $33,000 off, $34,000 off. So MVS, he did go to the informals, and they took him down about $34,000. And Mike, I believe the assessor, you know, he's licensed appraiser too. So he did all the beach ones himself. I don't know if he did this, but he did most of the beach ones. So anyway, he got a reduction from that, and he did get a small card correction for some measurements that we gave him in March of 2021 or whatever.
When I'm looking at his comps, unfortunately, I think this is me circling that stuff. Wasn't this the one where we only looked at the ones that were data relevant?
Yes, that was,
Date.
he had like several of them on a sheet, and we were saying, well, this is no good, this is no good. But there were a couple that I thought were in the right periods. That's what I'm trying to find out.
And those were 160 Edward and 365 Lally.
160, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And 365 Lally it looks kind of like a farmhouse. It is on the corner. It's built in 1957.
Has a pool.
Yeah, but the curb appeal, it doesn't look like the modern, you know, the modern colonials at the beach. It has like I don't know, it almost has a farmhouse sort of look to it.
That's his.
Yeah, and that one sold for $1.6 million.
Here's what I was looking for, okay.
Built in 1957, and it was remodeled. But it just has a different curb appeal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think he's too low at $1.45 million. I mean, I might say, like, I sort of did he thought his best comp was 275 Lally. I did back out, and I came up around 168.
But that's such a wrong time frame.
Well, you
Like,
have to
that's
back
in
it,
20
you have to
that's a year
back it
later.
back down. No, it's 6 months, it's July.
July, that was October, so.
So you can go back more
But
than
prices
that.
were escalating so rapidly
Yeah.
during that time period.
That
I'm
summer.
nervous to use,
Yeah.
I'm nervous to use the 21, you know, that far into 21. It was way different.
Okay, other than he said it was his best comp, that's why
Well,
it's,
I
you know,
know,
but-
3,200 square feet.
I don't think it's this.
It's not, yeah, whatever,
I
it's
like-
not, and
I
it's
like
not
the
FEMA
first two.
compliant, but,
I mean, even an average of the first two is 1,567. I agree. I think he's too low at 145, but,
you think it should be higher than comp two, the 365 Lally? If you look at a picture, if you look at the curb appeal of that.
I don't know. I mean, it's just a different style. I know which house that is.
But it also, I'm looking at the notes, it's got a pool and an elevator. I mean,
It does.
the elevators,
The pool
they're
was-
valued at about 80, but the appraisers, I think, are putting in 40. And then a
Well,
pool.
and if you remember, during that time period, people they wanted houses, they looked specifically for houses with pools.
Mhm.
With pools. It had, that's
Right,
one of the
they
things.
didn't want to go.
Yeah.
Oh, right, 'cause
He
they
has
couldn't.
a pool, yeah,
Doesn't he?
he has a pool, yeah.
Yeah. He just doesn't have the elevator.
Right.
Okay.
So I mean, I'd be okay with $1.6 million.
But it's also got 400
More
more
than-
it's got 400 more square feet, so,
No, Well, that's why, the 1567 was like a combination or an average of the two. But somewhere between 156 and.
I mean, he did
16.
not include 263 Lally, which is right next to his other comp, that sold in December 16th of 2020. Same thing, it's a BP2, that's the same distance from the beach, it's more modern looking.
What number?
263 Lally, same size lot, I don't think it's on the corner, and his best comp wasn't on the corner either, but he's 200, so this is 263, it's pretty much.
Well, 365, his comps were corner lots.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well,
what,
no,
what,
not 275, he said his best comp was 275,
Oh, yeah,
that's not a
that's one
corner.
of those weird
And 263
garage
Lally,
front and center, yeah.
sold for $1.7 million,
For Kelly and Sean bought, I didn't know.
and that
sold for what? It sold for $1.7 million?
Yep,
But
in
take a
December
look
of
at that one,
2020.
Carol.
Which one?
This is the, what is it,
And it's not FEMA compliant, so,
that was.
right, that's, I feel like he should be higher than that one, even though he didn't include it.
Shoot,
It's fairly similar to his,
I can't, oh, here we go.
it is not a
I'm
corner
looking-
lot.
263.
I'm looking it up.
263 Valley,
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. That's not FEMA compliant?
That's that,
not according to the
there's
field.
a
I'm not
couple of
following
those,
the field
there's a
plan.
couple of those houses where there's like garage in the front and then they
Yeah,
flip the door on the side and it's just like long and narrow.
When was that one built?
2006.
He's on Lally.
He's on the corner, and this one is,
I'm just thinking about height, I'm not looking at,
yeah, it's almost across the street from him. The same with the 275, which
Yeah.
he said was his best comp. These guys are like neighbors. I think 263 and 275 are right next door to each other.
so.
I just think
it
he
says on
should
the
be
field
higher
card-
than this one.
It says on the field card, that one's not FEMA compliant?
Not 263 Lally is not. It was
How
built
do they
in,
know that?
it's not built in 2006. They
It doesn't-
probably don't have a flood elevation certificate.
Right, so they don't have what else, but that doesn't mean it's not FEMA compliant.
To the 2012 standard.
But we don't know that, because
We don't
know what the flood line is on that street. It's not the same as the beach. To say Fairfield Beach Road, you have to be this many feet up. But then Lally might not maybe be half of that. So I'm just saying, I don't know I'm saying I don't know if it's FEMA compliant. It may be, it may not be. Without a flood elevation certificate, how do you know?
Yeah, they're not gonna get the discount on their insurance.
No, they're
right?
not.
They gotta get a flood insurance, right. So we don't know
Without that
for
flood,
sure.
they got a flood elevation, I've had people get flood elevation certificates, do a LOMA, a letter of map amendment, that they paid flood insurance for 25 years and they shouldn't have.
And they get their money back.
No, you don't get your money.
Yeah, no.
You're done, you wasted all that money. Yeah,
Right,
no.
but it's worth it to do it if you're a
It is worth
homeowner
it,
and you
for
can
the
get.
$1,000, the $1,500 it costs, people are so cheap, they don't do it.
Right,
I don't know if people know about the letter of map amendment thing, though, they might not.
right.
I don't think.
So
most
anyway,
people know.
I just think you should be higher than this one. Even though he's on a corner lot, this one's $1.7 million, I don't think $1.55 million is, you know. And because
$1.45
MBS,
$1,450,000.
right,
What do you
that's,
want?
I'm sorry, that's, yeah, I just think that's too low.
But if that lot, what does that lot look like?
An
The one that's
MBS
not on
should
the
look
corner?
at it. It's their lot, narrow lot, it's pretty narrow,
But it's deeper.
yeah. Like, this is what the house is laid out as.
Yep.
That, right, it's a long, narrow house.
Mhm.
That's this one with the turret on it.
They, and they,
How big is the
they
lot?
bought that privately.
They're all about the same,
I mean, 2-1.
yeah.
Okay.
And he's on the corner, right, so I
He's
think
got
he's
nothing.
actually faces, doesn't he not, I don't think he faces a different street.
Yeah, they did, that,
You know, 160 Edward, he included that, but I think that was a rental at the time that it sold.
What happened when, now he's saying, I didn't read the whole thing, but I remember him saying this. So this is the second time he's coming to us with the same request, because he said he got dismissed by Harold?
Because he used the square footage comparison, he did an average square footage. That's probably what happened the last time around. He had the same 5 comps, and he averaged them out to the square footage
Yeah.
using 2017 sales, and then he did averages. And we know, you know, generally you can't do an average, you have to adjust up or down,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so that's probably,
He
How
said
it
he
went?
included that on the worksheet, but, I mean, it's too late to worry about it now, but I'm
right,
just saying,
because
like,
you can see the averages on here.
why
He
am I
has
not
3
surprised
average
that this
comps.
happened to him? Whatever.
Yeah, I think hopefully
I think
understand a little bit more how it works.
Well, I still don't think, I think that town value is still too high. His is too low. There's no, I would say.
yeah.
I'm not saying there has to be that number,
You think
but
it should be lower than 263, Lally?
Is that the one you just showed me?
The modern looking one.
They bought that privately.
Yeah.
They did, that was not on,
The 263 was
I'm
private.
gonna look at it.
It's a little bigger,
and that's,
it's not
that is,
FEMA compliant, it was built in 2006.
it may not be the 2000, to the 14 feet altitude, but that was FEMA compliant.
That was FEMA compliant,
Million
yeah,
seven.
and it still may be.
I feel like
Definitely,
he's probably.
yeah.
You don't know where it is in the air.
Right.
I think the town
Definitely
is
FEMA
right.
compliant.
Well, the thing is, they may be right, they may not be
Maybe he might
right,
be $1,650,000.
as far as FEMA compliant, but we can't really use that to argue any points, because we don't know if it's true. We have
Right.
nothing to go on,
So
so
what
I'm
do you think
forgetting
we
that.
should do?
Yeah, but can I just say,
Yeah.
I mean, he had an opportunity to come and present, you know, evidence, right? Or I guess you're saying whether the other one is compliant, right?
Right,
You're right,
right,
okay.
I'm asking about that one,
Okay.
yep.
Which one?
But still, if he's gonna use it as a comp, or I guess he didn't use it as a comp.
He did not use 263
Yeah.
Lally, I just was looking at all the
Right.
Lally
Yeah.
sales, because sometimes people miss
Yeah.
they just do, they
Was
miss.
that, is that the one that's the private sale, excuse me?
Yeah.
I cannot
That's probably
find it
why.
to say,
But
when
you-
did it sell? I can't find it.
December,
It sold in
2020.
2020, but it was a private sale, and I know the people who bought it.
it's
Oh, well,
listed
if
as a
it's a private
qualified sale
sale,
on the field.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't on MLS.
Yeah,
It's
but it's
funny that,
listed as a qualified sale, so,
it's funny
No.
that they let that be a qualified sale when we have no idea what really happened in a private sale. And not just that, I mean, like in any private sale.
then they may have to
There's no
verify.
way to know it.
Yeah, I don't know,
You know,
but I
you
know
don't
they
know.
don't, you know, they can't market qualified unless they've done some research on it, so. Because they can't use it in their state, right, and all
Kathleen,
that.
that sold for what?
$1.7 million on December 16th, 2020.
Okay. Oh, I see it now. Okay.
And I know those people, they
If you
sold
look at
their
the
house
sales card,
on
you
Mill
can
Post
see
Road,
it.
and they were desperate and living with her parents. And they probably like,
I mean, I don't think he's that off at $1,722,000, that's where he's at.
I don't think he is. I don't
I
think
think
he's where
that's
he wants to
probably
be.
right.
I don't think he's where he wants to be, that's
No,
for
I know,
sure.
but I'm just saying,
No.
I don't know.
Mm.
I have a hard time bringing him any lower than 263 Lally.
But it's not on a corner lot.
No,
He picked corner lots, he picked the wrong ones too, but he picked corner lots. And I have a problem with the private sale. Because, you know, in a private sale situation, it may be qualified because nobody knew anybody and it wasn't a mortgage company or a relocation company. But, you know, I can ask anything I want for my house, and if somebody is nutty enough to pay it, and that's an outlier, then why would I count that?
well, the 275 Lally, even though you said it's later, that was $1,840,000. That was, he said, his best comp, and that sold for $1,840,000 in July of 21. So even if you bring that back $150,000 over 6 months, you're still back at $1.7 million. It does have something other than a pool, right? It has an elevator.
so, yeah, well,
What's the inside look like?
365 is at 1.6, and 263 is at 1.7. So,
We might be back at the 1675 number.
1.6, yeah, 1.65. Do 1.65 this time. And that's, you know, that's 200,000 over his request.
I'll go with that.
And the other
The
one,
number, someone make a motion?
at Edward Street.
I think somebody, I think,
1534, what's that?
you're saying 1650.
Yeah.
Okay.
You wanna make a
Is
motion?
there a way to look at the land value differences from that 263? Can we look it up on Vision Appraisal and just see, what that land is worth? Because it's not a corner lot versus a corner lot. I don't know, just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
And I don't know
they're
that that
both-
matters, but you can try it.
They're both BP2s, right? So the land curve is the same, and the 263 Lally is 0.21 acres with no adjustments for anything. And the subject property is 0.21 acres with no adjustments for anything. 9,000 square foot lot, and I should have probably done the square footage. Yeah, they're both 9,000 square foot lots. One's a corner lot, one's not. So their value is probably
Interesting.
the same.
Okay. I didn't know if,
Yeah.
we ever consider corner lots to be at a, you know, a certain reduction, 5% or something. I don't know, I was just curious.
Yeah, in general, no, but,
In
I
general,
mean,
no.
unless it's like, if there's a reason to look for a reduction, then you start to look for the reasons why, right? You don't just mark it down for being a corner lot. You mark it down
Their
to
land values are identical.
Identical.
However, you're right, you don't do that, and I understand why the assessor doesn't do it. But in retail, in actual sales, that corner lot is usually not as desirable as a regular lot.
Yeah, certainly to builders, yeah.
Right,
There's a few reasons why,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know. Now, that house is already there, but for builders, it would be that they have to deal with the setbacks on two corners, on two sides.
Mhm.
It's like two fronts, which is different than it for a regular lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice looking house. It's a big modern, right? A modern colonial. It is, 2 1/4 stories, whatever. They've got it at a grade 10. Yeah.
I don't remember did he say anything about the inside of his house? Like, it
Well,
wasn't updated, it
it
wasn't
was
all that,
built
or-
in what, was it built in 17?
16. The bill card says 16, 2016.
16.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure not much was, I don't know, I'm guessing not much was done, but we wouldn't know that.
How do you feel about 1650?
I mean, again, I had
You got
thrown out 1.6, I'm fine with that, like, I'm fine with that.
263 Lally is
I think she was
17.
answering you, but I didn't hear it. I'm sorry, Joe, what did you just say?
I said I had thought maybe 1675, just not because it's matching the other one, but just based on, my thoughts. But to make it work, for $25,000 less, I'm fine with that. You're not asking me to come to a whole different number. You know what I mean? I'm fine with that. I want, you're saying 1650.
Yeah, it's 200,000 over his.
Yeah. You want to make a motion?
All right, I make
Okay,
a
go ahead,
motion to grant appeal number 4 in part to 1650. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay. Yeah,
1650.
right,
Yeah.
correct.
Got
And
it.
that's in part. It's in part.
Got it.
In part.
If you're writing down the timestamps, that's just helpful. I don't know if you are.
6:03.
Now 6:00, now what time do we start the discussion?
I don't
know. What's at 6:03?
Okay, well, let's see. So for the next one, we'll start, okay, so the next appeal is appeal number 6.
Oh,
We're starting it at 6:08. And that is
Willow.
Willow Street, vacant land, 168 Willow Street, owned by 168 Willow Street LLC. Let's see, it says John Fallon, but John Fallon did not appear, the owner appeared.
Fred Ryan is the owner.
Okay, let me put that in there. Okay, so his argument is that.
Oh, can you just read the two values into the,
I'm getting,
record?
yeah.
Oh,
let's
sorry.
see.
I think the town value is
The town-
963,
Yeah, he
500.
doesn't have that on here, but I think you're right.
Yeah, or that's what the
Yes.
sheet says.
Let me see, maybe he does have, oh, here it is, I found it.
Yeah.
Town says it's worth, on 963,500 is the appraised value, and he's saying that the value is, he wants his value to be 100,000. See the schedule attached, and his reason is because the 168 Willow Street is a non-buildable lot.
Right.
And so that's his argument, that it's not really worth anywhere near 900,000 because you can't really do anything with it except look at it. So, and we have, let's see, I think we have something in here from an attorney. John Fallon actually did a statement.
This is the one where he thought with a variance, he would be able to,
Yeah.
Well, he was
told that.
He was told
More than
that
once.
by the, previous
By the-
owners.
right, yeah.
And by the zoning department, like whatever's in the backup there says that zoning said he would need a variance to
Right,
be
you
able to
need a
build
variance,
on it.
yep.
Yeah, but it
So-
does have, it's a flag lot, right, it's a rear lot,
It's a rear lot,
but it has road access. It
only
clearly
20
has.
feet. You can't
Yeah,
have
but
only
I
20
thought
feet.
you said,
But, I mean, I'm getting to that, yeah. It's got a lot of issues. One issue is, it's a flag lot, and I don't think we build on those anymore. Number two, it's only got 20 feet of frontage across. And in that zone, I don't know what you need, but it's more than, I believe it's more than 75 feet, because that would be an A zone. This is different. I think this is a half acre zone, or an acre zone, I don't remember. So he doesn't have the frontage, it's a rear lot. And then the other problem is that when it was subdivided originally, before he bought it, it was improperly subdivided. So it will never be a building lot. You can't go back and change it. You'll never be able to build on it.
and the intention is to combine the two.
Right, he wants to combine the two and have one lot.
Will do for him eventually.
Right, and so what he really wants us to do, what he's really saying is, to him, it's excess land. And it's got a value, but it doesn't have a value of 900 and something thousand.
Right.
Well, if it were the fact that he could get a variance, that would change things. But he can't get one.
Why can't he get a variance?
You're not, because it's not it can never be a building lot, ever.
Well, didn't John Fallon say that it's not? I mean,
John Fallon says it's not, every time.
It's not right now, it's not without a.
No, it's not ever.
Where
It
does
will
say
never
that,
be.
though?
I don't see that anywhere.
That's per Matt, what's Matt's last name, I forgot, Decker,
yeah.
in zoning.
Is that in here, though?
No, because I asked him that, and he said, because I wasn't sure, I'm like, well,
Well, it says here, Schedule A, subject properties, landlocked parcels.
oh, that's it, landlocked.
Required access and lot frontage as required by Fairfield zoning regulations, therefore not a building lot, and should be valued for tax purposes.
Right. But Jim Wentz says, I see that they're showing in our system as separate parcels, however, the rear lot would need a variance to be considered a building lot. Just
And that
want any
was-
prospective buyer to know that we believe a variance is required to build a house on that lot.
Mm-hmm. And when was that?
So it can be purchased, but if a house is to be built, a variance would be required.
At that time.
Right, when you go to,
But I don't know what happened, because I don't, what date, I'm trying to.
no,
find
this
the
is
date.
dated September 21st, 2021. Right, and I just
You
want to point out, I
It's
mean,
not a buildable lot, that's all I can tell you.
It's funny, because I've never known the building department to guarantee
Yeah,
anyone.
they'll never guarantee you. They'll say,
I mean,
well, you know, you gotta get,
we
you gotta
got
get,
there and
yeah.
said, you know, they'll say, I don't know,
Matt
we
Decker
can't
said, yes, that
guarantee
makes
that if
sense.
you buy this property, we can't guarantee that.
oh, copied on Matt Decker, too.
Matt Decker said, when I talked to him, I walked up to the desk, he looked at me, he goes, before I even finished the sentence, he's like, no, it's not a building lot. And I said, well, can you tell me why? Because people are gonna ask. And he said, the real reason is because it was improperly subdivided, and so it will never be a building lot. Needless to say, those other issues that John Fallon mentions are true. But maybe if you could get, maybe with those issues, you could get a variance, but not with it being an, improper subdivision is what it was.
Well, so let me just read the email that Jason Spade sent to Jim Wentz. Said, our clients have decided to move forward with the purchase, knowing that the parcel is not a building lot at this time,
Right.
as discussed below. I've added a note in the center of the lot
Mhm.
stating it is not a building lot at this time.
Right.
Please let me know if I can file on the land records. So it sounds like to me, and, you know, the appellant paid $1,375,000
Right.
for the lot
Right,
in
thinking
December of
he could get a
2020.
variance and build.
Well, he did all his homework, and this email says that he knew that he couldn't get one, that it's not a buildable parcel at this time, but based on the chain, that he needs a variance to be able to build on it.
Right, and
So-
then Matt Decker said no, because, did anybody say in there that it was how it was subdivided?
Yeah, there was references that they thought that it was supposed to have been combined, but somebody passed away and it never got combined. So it was confusing, why is it two lots? Because certain documents, it looks like, showed that it should have been combined at one point in time. But there's a PDF, you know, the last, page 16 of the backup is a copy of the, you know, the plot plan or whatever, and the lot line revision, and it clearly shows that, you know, there's road frontage there, but there's just,
20 feet,
Yeah,
it's
but-
not enough.
but you need a variance.
You're never gonna get a variance for 20 feet.
I
You know,
don't
a
know.
driveway has to be 30, something like that in the back. You need 30 feet to allow emergency vehicles to pass through. Therefore, you can't, that's one of the reasons
Looks
why.
like he transferred part of the parcel to 171 Old South Road as well. It
That's
looks like
his
he was
address.
trying
I
to
mean,
do some.
yes.
Right, that's his house.
I've never known them to grant a variance for
And where did this come from? He didn't bring this in, did he?
what? But there was something I read in that file, there was something else.
Oh, yeah, where did this, because this wasn't in his appeal, this is from Ross.
No, Ross brought it in.
So Ross brings things into the client's files now after the fact. Is that correct?
I think he brought it during the hearing.
Still, it's after the fact of, that this guy submitted his appeal, after the appraisal, after the reassessment was done, about. Well, all I can tell you is, I went there specifically because I knew this was gonna be an issue, and he said there was no way.
Okay,
That's all I
He
know.
but I don't
did it
see that,
right.
where's, I mean,
Okay, well then, what do we?
I'm not disputing that you did that, but I don't know then why wouldn't we have that as part of the record?
I guess I should have asked him to send me an email, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Because whether you say you believe me or not, obviously you don't, if you don't believe what I said. So.
Well,
everything else in-
I do because
changed.
you're sworn to tell the truth in this as a board member.
Mhm. So,
The access way area of the lot which has a width less than 50% of the minimum required lot square. So that's the access there. So he's gonna need a variance in order to access the lot. I mean, in the past, what we sort of said is, look, if you don't wanna pay taxes as a separate lot, then you combine your two lots into one, and then it just becomes part of your acreage,
Which
and
I
you
guess-
don't have to pay
yeah.
anymore, but then you can't subdivide it in the future, right? And then.
well, you can't, once you put it back, you can't, I don't think they'll let you take it out.
That's
Right,
right. So if he
right.
wants to lower his taxes, he should just combine the two, and then he doesn't have to pay the taxes on that. That's.
Well, when he does that,
When he does the
I
subdivision.
agree, but in the meantime, when he has discovered it's not a building lot, we thought it was a building lot, I don't see why he should be taxed.
I think he knew that,
But he-
according to this, he
He
did
thought he
do
could
it.
get a variance. Yes, it was not buildable at the time, meaning later you could build. Now they're saying, no, we can't build. So I don't know what happened between then and 2 weeks ago, but Matt said no. And I don't think I was the first person to ask him, because he was like, he kind of knew all about it already.
So the real question in my mind is, what is that land worth as
Is it, right, as a
non-buildable
non-buildable
lot?
lot.
Well, it's got a condition factor of 0.9 on it right now,
Why, do
And-
we know why?
probably because it's vacant,
Oh, okay.
right? That's what you typically see on a vacant lot, that
Okay.
it's, now, somebody put in the notes not buildable, but we know we see that often, we see that lots are wet when they're not really wet because other things have happened. So what's in the notes,
Why is
You
it
know,
so, why is
what-
it non-buildable?
Yeah.
who knows? Because it's probably not, it's not a compliant lot. It needs a variance to be able to build on it.
No,
whether you're
it
gonna
doesn't need a variance because you can't get one.
I-
It's non-buildable because you can't, if it's non-buildable, you can get a variance, then technically it's buildable, because if you can get the variance, you're good to go. But
It's not buildable at right now. because
Right now, it's not, because
Without a variance, that's right.
You can't get a variance right now.
So this is December 14th, this letter from the Jason, right? Saying our clients have decided to move forward. This is September of 2021.
Mhm.
Well, then why if he's known since this time that the property was not buildable, then why hasn't he gone and combined the property?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
But he doesn't have to.
Well,
He
I know he does,
doesn't.
but he, then what reason would he not be,
Well, for one thing, he didn't move into it right away for a long time. I mean, if you had been driving by that property, you noticed, and
Are you
he
talking about
did
the house?
extensive work on the house. He almost gutted the whole thing and started all over again, believe it or not. I mean,
right, but that's not about
So,
the
but I mean, he
property,
didn't,
the
so
land.
he was busy doing that work, so maybe, I mean, that could have been a reason why he didn't address the fact that,
Sure.
he needed to combine the two parcels. But I think, based on the fact that he paid that much for that lot, he really did believe
Yeah,
that it
probably
was
did
a
believe it was a
buildable
buildable
lot.
lot, because who would pay
And
that?
it was
Says
totally
right
an
on that.
indication that he could, but
I-
now we know he can't.
I have
I
a
don't-
question.
Yeah.
If on the land it says not buildable,
On the card, you're
on
talking
the
about.
land records, right?
Uh-huh.
Land records or on the, field card?
Field card.
On the field card,
That's not the land records.
Well, okay.
I'm sorry. On the field
okay.
card, I'm just looking at it and it says it's not buildable. So I'm just curious if it's known as not buildable, is that 924 the value as a non-buildable lot?
No.
It's a value as a buildable lot.
Value is a buildable lot.
Okay, I'm
So, and that
confused
brings
then.
up that's a good point, it brings up another question. If the field card is marked non-buildable lot,
Yeah,
when they did the eval, why did they make it a $900,000 value on a lot that says not
sounds like a
buildable?
mistake. It sounds like a mistake.
So I did go back and look at I looked at some other vacant lots
Mhm.
and to see what the land adjustments are on other lots based on whether they're marked very wet, super wet, marsh, you know, ones that are, you know, need a variance. And they range back and forth on, you know, on different values.
Where did
percentages of the
you
land.
find those?
So for example, I know there's one in Winton Park, 625 Round Hill Road, you know, Jay Fain's property, he paid $550 or $600 for it, it's valued at $200. That has a .3 on it. It says it's too wet to build, but he knows that he can build on it. He's had a house, right, designed to be put on the lot. He's a soil scientist. I mean, it's not a secret. He knows he can eventually build on it. He paid $5 something for it, and the town had it at like $200.
We paid $525 because I sold it to him.
Yeah, so it has a .3 on it, right? Because it was marked as, you know, wet, not buildable, it had some lot frontage.
Mhm.
There are some other ones like 625, there's a couple others that I saw on Algonquin, you know, condition factor of .5, different condition factors for lots that are questionable. But in general, in this case, because he paid $1,350,000 for it, and there's an email chain that said he knows that he needs a variance for it, and he paid that anyway. So it's really hard to say, if you paid that much money, you know, are you gonna turn around tomorrow and sell it for $100,000 to anybody? Like, are you gonna do that? And the answer, I guess if you ask him, he's gonna say no. I'm not gonna, if you offered him $100,000 tomorrow, would he sell it to you? Probably not,
No,
right?
he paid $1,300,000, but that's not the issue.
I don't know, it's just tough to say that.
But he was never intending to build on it anyway. He bought that so that no one else would build on it.
Right, and so that he can combine it with his own property if he
Yeah.
wants to save his taxes.
Right.
Right, because
No,
if we give him a
But,
point, if we give him,
and at the time, he was told that that you
Yeah.
can build on it with it, so therefore it's worth X amount of dollars, which he paid for it. Now he was kicking himself when he was here talking to us, because he said he knows he shouldn't have paid that amount of money for that lot.
yep, so I would suggest that we do something, I mean, obviously, unless you have something in writing from Matt Decker and we want to postpone it so you can get something from Matt that says you can never build on this, even if you get a variance, and if Matt can put that in writing, then I think we'd be fair to say we could do something that would, you know, significantly lower the value on that property. But if all the email chains and the other discussion that's in the appeal talks about you need a variance, which is different than, because it's not wet, right? We know that. It's a nice
not wet.
property.
No,
It was
not
wet
wet,
from that
right.
marsh. We
Yeah.
would know no matter what.
Yeah.
He couldn't resell it for any value, and then we would.
But I don't
bring
think
it
you're
right
gonna
down.
get either way from Matt Decker in writing, I don't think you're gonna get him to say it's never gonna be a buildable lot, or are you
I don't
going
know
to get
if you
it
will.
in writing from him to say, it's a buildable lot with a variance? I don't think you're gonna get that either,
I think
because I've
you would-
never known that.
No, but I
He's gonna
think,
say you would need a variance to build on that. lot.
He might say it to you,
Right.
or you can try it with a variance, but he'll never guarantee it. I've never known them to guarantee.
except that what he told me was because of the way the subdivision was done, it will never be a building lot, which is different than.
Well,
That is-
John
that is
Powell
very-
references that
Yeah.
right here, section 2.7.
Paulette, why
that-
don't you
that-
try? Why don't you send
Okay,
him
I'll
an
call
email
tomorrow.
saying per our conversation, send him an email, per our conversation. Can you please confirm what I understood, our discussion, you know, the end result of our discussion and your expert advice or whatever.
I mean, so like, are you asking then, why? So we're saying, I just want to be clear here, right? We're saying that if there was an ability to get a variance, he could potentially build on this lot, right?
Well, yeah, he'd have to get, yes.
Right,
The answer is yes.
right?
Yeah.
So I guess my question then is what would be preventing him from getting this variance to move forward building on this lot? Right?
The way-
Is that what Matt Decker's gonna?
All I said to Matt was, Matt, can you tell me if this is a buildable lot? And he goes, no, it's not. And I said, well, okay, that's not good enough because you said, no, it's not. Why isn't it? I said, I'm not trying to give you a hard time, I just wanna know why is it?
Yeah.
And he said, it's because of the way the subdivision was done originally, it was improperly done, and so it will not be considered a building lot. It's not a building lot, that's what he told me.
Right. So I guess,
So that's-
but if a variance could be created, or allowed, then
If,
I guess my question, so what I would want to know, is there a way with some variance, you know, that a variance can be issued that would allow this person to build?
okay,
Understand what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, I know what you're saying, but I know what you're saying, but there won't be a variance, because if you could get a variance, he would have said, you're gonna need a variance, but yeah, you can put a house here, but that wasn't it was a flat no, because of the way it was subdivided.
So
I had the same
maybe-
problem with that property on Winton Road,
Yeah.
the way it was done, something about the way it was done, it took 5 years to straighten it out and finally sell the property. So,
Yeah, and that's at a .3. And there's other ones out that are a .5. And so one of the options we could do is to take them down to something, I wouldn't take them down.
right, that's the next part of it, yeah.
Exactly, and that's very difficult to say,
Yeah.
because it's worth what someone will pay for it, and he paid $1,375,000.
Because he thought it was a buildable lot, we keep going back in a circle.
No.
He thought it was a buildable lot with a variance, okay? So, yeah, if I could get a variance, if I'm willing to take the chance
So
that they're
that's
gonna
what
give me
we're
that
trying
variance.
to determine, has it been, no matter what, said that you cannot build on it, even with, there is no possibility of getting a variance to build on that lot? That's really what we're trying to figure out.
Okay, I just said
And
that,
then
but
it-
we'll move on.
But to
Let's
me,
move on.
and to me, you know, the fact that he has not acted on this to, you know, lessen his taxes by, you know, combining the properties, you know, it tells me that maybe there is something out there that still is a possibility, right? I'm not saying that, you know, I
Whatever,
agree
you know,
with what Aileen said, that maybe he was too busy, you know, working on the house and didn't get to it.
Yep.
But, so.
Okay, so I guess we're gonna have to wait on this.
Yeah, we can postpone it and just get that information in writing, if that's
Okay, so
really.
let the record show that my word is not good enough for the board, so I will take the time out of my day again to go back up there and get something in writing. And I'm hoping that if I get it, we're not gonna then go to somebody else and argue that point.
We can email him too and ask.
I'll just come and, no, because I gotta wait for the email. I'm not waiting. I will go up there and I'll wait for him to send it to me or write it down right there, and we'll be done with it, if he'll do it, okay?
Thank you, Paula.
You're welcome. Because I haven't done enough already.
Do we need to make a motion to, table this, or not table it?
As we postpone to a date certain, do we want to try to figure it out tomorrow night?
Well, we have to, because that's our last night.
But do we need to
Okay,
make a motion?
guys.
I think we have to make a
I'll
motion.
make a motion to postpone to a date certain of tomorrow night,
All in favor?
March 15th.
Aye.
Aye,
Hello, Carol?
Yes.
Okay, all, unanimous.
all right. And then I think
I mean,
we do know what we can do once we get more information.
What are you doing, a fashion show?
If
Must be
that,
getting late in the day.
if that is, if we get that email, assuming we do, we probably need a strategy still about how we're gonna value it.
Right, then we have to
Yeah.
figure out how we're gonna
Yeah.
value the lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
okay, next.
we're just jumping right into
Well,
another.
one after the
No.
other, one headache after the next, okay. Appeal number 8 is,
There was another one in Southport last year or the year before. Remember, there was another, not to digress, but there was another lot in Southport off of Pequot Avenue that was similar to that. It was a separate parcel. Maybe it had more road frontage, but a similar idea. It was being taxed at much higher. We sort of said, you know, if you combine it, you know, then you can, then it's gonna, you know, the value will come way down because you can't build on it. But until that point in time, I don't remember what it was at, but I can see if I can find it.
so we had, I don't
It had
remember.
some value on it, but it wasn't like
Yeah.
a .01, you know, it didn't have a super low adjustment on it because until they combine it, it could potentially be used for something, so it has
But
value.
it was, so I'm confused, it wasn't a building lot at all, or?
I don't remember close
Okay, I
enough,
don't
but there
remember
was a
that.
similar conversation that the gentleman was like, you know, no, look, this is not the right size, and it's this and that, and the answer was,
Okay.
no, you need a variance to build on it, but you can, it's not.
Okay.
It isn't, you know, clearly so wet that it's protected by easements and, you know, other things that'll never allow it to be
Okay.
built on. Okay.
Appeal number 8, Brett and Barbara Stern, 3282 Congress Street, single-family residence. Let's see, town values the property at, well, they have such trouble finding that all the time.
$1,649,500. It's, well, it's on, I have it on this cover sheet if you want me
Okay,
to
so I'm
read the
looking at the
number.
cover sheet, but I'm
Yeah.
not seeing it.
Sometimes they don't always write it in.
Okay, what was it? Town.
1649.
500.
500.
Oh, okay, he did it different, it's not on this sheet on here, okay, I see it, okay. 1,649,500, and their opinion of value is between 975 and 1.1 million for the following reasons. Okay, so they're saying the biggest reason is that next door to them at 3236 Congress Street, the town had allowed a commercial medical facility to operate in a residential zone. The effect of group homes on neighborhood property values, they have an attached document that talks about that. Talks about the value, the decrease in value on the neighboring properties when there's a group home in the neighborhood. Properties within 200 feet of a group home experience a decrease in value of up to 24%. See photos and additional materials. Okay, so let's see. After opening in June of 2022, the mental health facility had 10 police calls in 6 months. Between June of 2022 and December of 2022. Calls during the day and during the night, so at various times. These are just police calls. These are not ambulance calls or anything else, from my understanding, from what he said.
We all heard it, right?
Yeah, we all heard that.
We were all here together,
Okay, so roughly 2/3, okay, so that's point one. And then the next point was that, there's errors in the measurements, which I believe you sent, Kathleen said something to the
I
assessor.
did. I wanted
How
to-
you measure, so that's point two.
Did they measure and give us a corrected
I don't know.
card? I'm gonna look right now.
Okay, you look at that while I go over the next point, which is, errors in drawings, we did that. And then roughly 2/3 of the land is unusable, see map, due to wetlands and wetland setbacks. Oh, my favorite thing, wetlands and wetland setbacks. Okay, so, we'll wait for, let's see if Kathleen can find us. We can at least care.
Well, does someone have the current card? I can tell you what,
I have the one that was in the folder.
1649500. Yeah, the card that I see at the base is still the same
Okay, so
card.
they
I'll
haven't-
see.
they haven't done
I don't know
that.
if that means that they didn't go or it's just not updated yet.
Okay.
So do we want to have the general, I mean,
You have the general
probably
discussion of the other thing.
the measurement is going to change. Oh, wait a minute. My email's in here with the measuring request, so let's see what happens. Requested a measure, could you have someone measure? And there's only the front copy of the field card, and it's not a different amount, so we'll have to get clarification on that.
Okay, so we still need to do that.
Yeah.
Get that, Carol?
Yep.
We don't have clarification on the remeasuring yet.
Right, the house, it was the
Yeah.
primary dwelling,
Yeah.
and they had it at 928, and only the front page of the field cards here, not the second page. But that would be something that Paula might be able to look up for us in the meantime. Is Paula still on? Hey, Paula, are you
Yeah,
listening?
Yeah. Mhm. I
Okay.
have a note that, Ken was going out to measure, so I'll go and look it up on the computer, so, okay?
Okay, yes,
Okay.
there is one, at the very end of the appeal, there is only the front page of the card, but it doesn't,
Okay.
I'm not seeing anything different. The total appraised value is still 1,649,500, so either he
Okay.
didn't find any mistakes, and I can't see, he didn't rescan page 2 of the card, so I don't know.
Okay, I'll
Either
get back
way,
to you in a minute,
it's-
okay?
Okay,
Okay.
great.
We can go on while
In
we're
the
waiting.
meantime, we can,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so I'm not gonna read the whole thing, because everybody's looked at this and read it. So let's take it one at a time. So let's talk about the issue regarding the group home and the decrease in value, based on these studies that were done.
I
Well,
mean, a couple facts. Oh, so, go ahead, Carol.
Go ahead, Carol.
I was just gonna say, I just did the math on a reduction of 25%, and that brings it to 1236.
Okay,
Yeah, and what they have at 1-1 is with the 44%.
right, that's right, because it was,
Yeah.
keep looking at here and it says something about 24%.
What'd you say it was? One what?
1, 2, 3.
1,236 times
Okay.
point, that's the appraised value less 25%.
Okay. They based it on they based their number on 44% decrease, right? Is that what you said, Lynn?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
looking at the
I
first
know.
point, it says 24. Who's they? Oh, you mean them, the people,
Okay, they've got loads of stuff, and besides the study that they sent us with actual percentages on it, they also have, example of a property at 4480 Congress Street, which had a similar issue.
Did you see this mark, this new, did the town write that in? See that on the field card, is that,
Oh, maybe I have to refresh my browser, there's a possibility, because I'm not seeing, do you see a new card at the very end
well,
of the thing?
let me see, I'm already, like,
I see some photographs.
well, I had,
see
there's
my-
a column next to the,
Oh, there it is,
it says new.
March 10th, yep, I didn't scroll up.
Oh, okay.
Wait a minute, it still says 1649500. March 10th, 2023, 9:15 to 9:30, full measure and list. So, yeah, there is something with the notes written on it, but the card is not changed at all. And it's still only the front of the card, right? We're not seeing the back.
That makes sense, if it wasn't, maybe it wasn't changed yet, but
Oh, maybe,
somebody wrote in there
oh,
new.
did the appellant
I don't know.
or Ken?
I don't remember.
Paula's gonna look it up,
Well, I'm
so,
gonna check that for us.
yeah.
So they even, oh, go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so some of the logic that they did use was they found another group home
Mhm.
that had
That's what
sold
I'm
in
getting to.
2003, it was on the market a long time.
Yep.
And so they tried to use, you know, the relationship between what happened in 2003 and what happened now, the same for their property, what happened then and what happened now. I mean,
And
that's
was this the
22
group-
years.
Was it, I wasn't here for this one. Was this the group home that he's referring to as a comparison? Is that with the eating disorder?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And that's a very different lot. That's a huge lot. That home, the group home next door is on a
Which one was
small
the huge
lot.
lot?
The eating disorder, like the house that took a long time
Oh,
to sell.
yeah.
It's a very big lot, kind of,
I think the one
awkward.
next to him is a big lot too.
Yeah, it is. But the group, no, but the group, the other one, it was that property that was for sale that was large, not the group
Oh, I see
home
what you're
lot.
saying.
And this
Okay.
time it's not reversed, but it's the other way around.
Okay.
Well, and also,
I
think
gotta
the-
tell you, I don't know how he's ever gonna find a buyer to sell this thing.
I don't think that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I mean, I think the impact between a group home, I mean, both of them are tough, but a group home that has, eating disorder, is an eating disorder facility versus a mental health and addiction facility, quite different,
Quite different, yeah.
quite different. Henceforth, the 10 police calls. Well, and also, they have terrible light
Oh, yeah, did you see the
intrusion
pictures
on
of the
their
lighting
property.
problems?
There's photographs in
Oh,
there.
right.
There's some older cards in here too.
They,
showing-
the, inside their child's room with the black, the darkened, shades,
Yeah, this one,
see, it was like, yeah, yeah,
that one.
that's how light it is at night. I drove by that property to
Oh,
see
maybe
where
this is it.
where the outside lights were
Yeah.
on the, and they're right
there?
like big clusters of them on the sides of the
It's like,
house
what is it?
facing their
Like,
property.
I found it.
Hogan Zeros.
Sorry.
It's got the lights all outside.
The what?
69.
Hogan Zeros with the big lights all outside the prison.
Yeah, that's tough.
So I think I found it. Page 69 of the backup has a red marker on it. It has a date on the card of 3/13/2023, and there is a slight reduction in after the measure. Goes down to 1,588,100.
Okay, so
So
now
at
we're
minimum,
working
we
with-
can do a card correction first, right? So
Let's
that
see.
the card correction gets made.
So it's what, 1,500,000?
1,588,100. And that'll take effect next year, but if we want him to get the discount for the card correction, or we
Okay.
decide we're gonna decide, what do
Well-
we do?
If you take 1,588,000 times 0.75 for the 25% reduction, you're now at it's 1191.
Are you taking that off the land too, Carol, or just off the whole
No,
property?
I just did it on 1,588,000 times 0.75, which is a 25% reduction.
No, it should come up.
I feel bad for
Both-
these people.
both
I
numbers.
The
really
new
do.
number, 1 million, what'd you say, Carol, 1,191,000?
Yes, 1,588,000, which is the new measurement correction with the appraised value, multiplied by 0.75, which is a 25% reduction. I mean, you could actually even say 1.76 if you wanted, because it said it was 24%. I don't know, I'm just trying to get at different perspectives here. That's 1,200,000.
I also have in my notes here, they said no site adjustment for water, ponds, and wetlands.
Yeah, now that was the other thing. So the other point he was making was that, here's his map. It was the map in there, because when I looked, it wasn't. The map they did, They drew, probably couldn't scan it in well.
Yeah, there's a map in
Is
there
there a map in there?
now.
Okay.
He has unusable
Yep,
land
he's showing
carved
you the
off.
amount of unusable land, and then the usable land that's left.
Right,
Um,
picture of Newport, yep.
Yep.
He did have a racetrack on there at one point in time, there was a go-kart track.
Oh, that might have been nice.
I know, in some of the old pictures, but
Hmm.
I think the go-kart track, I don't know, if it was taken out. They did have a go-kart track in the back, so there was enough land to do that,
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, that's different. I mean, if you're just driving on it, you can drive on it, but you can't.
Maybe it
And
went,
apparently
maybe
he
it
said
went around the pond.
Yeah, he said apparently that, he said they tried to put in a pool and a garage, which they did. But notice where they are. They're like, all that property, and they had to jam it into where it is, because that's all usable property you
Oh,
have.
right, yeah.
And that, it's because, what he's saying is that, excuse me, thank you, his unusable land constitutes a large part of the property. And as we know,
Oh.
that includes the wetland and the wetland setback.
So he has no adjustment on his field card?
I don't think so.
No, I mean, he's got a big piece of property, and not everybody has them, right? You only get those adjustments when there's reasons to make the adjustments, like, because your value is too high for some reason. So in his case, he maybe never thought that the value was too high, so he didn't come in and,
I think so.
say that it was affecting his property. Now, obviously, he does because of the medical facility, and so these other issues
Yeah.
are coming up as
Well,
well,
I
so.
wouldn't
How many-
say that.
how
I mean,
many
I don't
other
know why you can't
houses-
say
No,
that.
listen, a lot of people don't pay any attention to their property and their land values and their assessments. It's amazing how many people don't pay.
They just pay their
So
taxes.
now that he is paying attention because of the medical facility, he's also realizing, well, I have other reasons to,
Yeah.
to have a reduction as well. I mean, I
But I
would
mean, what
think with the amount of land that's unusable here, he would have
Yeah, it
some.
doesn't seem fair, because the town has this now as an operating business where they're getting, not just the value of the land as property, but aren't they getting, what else are they getting? Personal property tax,
As
right?
a group home, pay personal property tax, as a group home? I
Not
don't
from
think so.
homes.
As a business, what
No.
does the town get for Newport Academy?
We get the, I believe we only get the the parcel real estate value.
Why don't you get the personal property for a commercial business?
Because they're group homes and they fall into another category.
So
Oh,
Not a nonprofit,
it's a for-profit, right?
yeah.
I mean, isn't there like instances where states, build highways next to people's houses and they compensate them significantly?
That's
Um,
eminent domain, yes. So, when they take your land or change the value.
well, no, maybe
I
not your land, but it may not even be your whole, well, I guess they go over the skyway. Airport, I don't know. I feel like this guy, I mean, I don't know if all of us feel the same way, but I really feel like, I don't know how many homes would there be in this neighborhood? Probably one on one side and one on the other and one in the back. I don't know, one across the street. The 200
Can I
feet is not that much.
Can I just point out something that nobody seemed to notice?
No.
There is a correction, there is a condition.
Paula,
Wait, are you talking about the square footage?
are we talking
No,
about the
I'm
square
talking
footage? I'm
about the
confused.
land. There is a condition factor on the land, on his excess land, of only 50% being good.
Yeah, I
And
saw
just
that.
so if anybody wants to
On the
know,
landline.
I wasn't sure if you guys got the newest card, so I just sent one to Kathleen in her
You
email.
emailed this to me? I think we found it. I think it's
Okay.
on page 75 of the back, no, sorry.
69.
Page 69 of the backup, so it's way, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. Usually it's the last thing we can find, but there's one print date of 3/13/2023 with some handwriting on it. Field
Here it is.
note
Here it is,
file.
right here.
50%.
Right.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Wait a
Right,
minute
and
now.
it says 1,588,100, and so that has an adjustment, right, that must be a measurement adjustment that we're talking about.
Yes,
But the
that
excess
was
acreage
printed
is
done.
0.5.
Because if you read,
Excess.
if you read his notes. He usually writes pretty good notes on the,
Ken?
on the building notes. The Ken, yeah. I mean, and his you can understand. I put in way too many abbreviations. Most people can't read them. But it says he reviewed it, full measure and list, corrections made. Changes reflect in the inspection.
Right, and we did, and it came down, so it came down from 1,649,500 to 1,588,100 with that correction.
And that's the correction for the.
Right. So why don't we get that out of the way? Is that accurate?
Is that the correction, that's the correction for the square footage?
When he remeasured?
Okay.
Yes, solely. So, I mean, why don't we just get that out of the way, if that's right? I'll just make a motion to approve the card correction and reduce the town's value from 1,649,500 to 1,588,100.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carol? Okay, good.
All right,
Unanimous.
because that's, yeah,
Okay.
we'll just do that separately.
So now
It's
we're
not as
starting with a new
requested.
number.
And now we're starting from a town value of 1,588,000.
1,558,
Yeah,
okay.
and then we
All
just
right.
have to decide what we're gonna do from there.
Okay.
And Carol's suggesting a 25% reduction to break, I mean, I think we just have to figure out what, you know, what's it gonna sell for, right? That's the big part of it. Do you think 1,191,000 is a,
I wouldn't pay that much for it, but that's just me. They're gonna have, I mean,
it's gonna
maybe
be
that's
hard
fair.
unless we.
They're gonna have a really serious problem trying to sell that house. I mean, there's just no, the longer people know about it, the longer there's problems there, the more it's gonna become like, oh my God, you don't
Well,
wanna live
and
near that.
also he documented this. I mean,
Right.
now it's all documented about every police call and this and that. I mean, it's public information now.
Mhm.
Well, and we know for months and months, a couple of years, there were signs out all over that
Yeah.
neighborhood, like everybody knows about it.
Everybody knew about it.
Right, and he used the maximum, he used the 44% that he found in an article, and to come up with his number, right? So, and that was the max, we asked him, I think I asked him, you know, did you have an average, is
Yeah.
there some range or
Right.
something, and I don't
Right.
think he knew, I don't recall him coming up with another figure, and Carol's saying, okay, well, 25%. And so I think that that would be reasonable, and that would take him to 1,191 if we took the 25%. And that's off the total value of the property, that's not just off the, right, we're not just reducing the land. Usually it's, you know, off of the land reduction.
I'm
because
okay
of
with
it.
that.
I'm okay with it, I guess.
And that would be a grant in part, instead of 1,100,000, he'd get 1,191,000.
The only issue I have with how we're doing it isn't so much the number, is that, what about, like, in the future? Is he gonna have to keep coming back because he's complaining about his land? Now, they gave him a discount for the excess land, right? That was what, 1.5 acres?
Yeah, Ross is probably gonna have someone in the assessor's office, if we don't ask them how to fix the card now to get to that, close to that number, they're just gonna have to figure out how to do it. I'm guessing they're gonna take something, you know, like traffic, right? You take a deduction for
Mhm.
traffic, so they're probably gonna take something off the land, but to get down, to get that much off of the land, the land's gonna have, right, what are we coming down from 1.5? We're taking it down almost 400,000. If you take the 400,000 off the land, there's gonna be like nothing left. Right, so what's the land line?
Well, I guess we don't have to
Is anyone
worry
aware,
so much
Carol
about it
brought
then.
up
Well,
a
I
good
should
point.
say that, the land line is, wait, what's the land on this one? 611, so the land's gonna come down to 211 if you took it all off the land.
Yeah.
But it's not our job to tell them where to take it from, we can just make a recommendation based on the fact that it's a location issue with the property.
So Carol brought up a good point, and I'm just curious, does anybody know, maybe Paula knows, you know, are there other properties in town that have been, you know, in a residential area where suddenly that changes and something goes in, whether it's a highway or a commercial property or for profit,
Well, it's just my point that the government body actually reimburses the
have we given any,
homeowner.
deduction and consideration to those properties? I mean, I'm sure there's not many of them, but.
I think they appeal, or in the reval, if they start to, if that's on the list of things to look at in a reval, is to, you know, make sure that you're accounting for things like that. I would think that.
Yeah,
that
I
would
mean,
be
the only other thing, which is the same one with the other one, I made a note to my own self that, I mean, we can also, you know, leave it up to the courts, because they'll have more, you know, let bodies who deal with these things more, more frequently.
I'd rather just have us
And this
do
is a
it.
difficult one, because there's no, you're
It
not
is.
gonna use comps to figure it out. And, do I think the court's probably the best place for it to be decided? Probably is, because there would be appraisers involved and, as opposed to, it.
Yeah, but you know what,
think
those
so.
appraisers are not gonna know what, I mean,
It's gonna be hard to
This is
figure
something
out.
where my gut is telling me, no one is gonna pay more than X amount for this property, if it
Well-
were to,
Wait, if we change it in part, then he has to wait until the reval, correct?
Right. I mean, he can still go to court if he doesn't think it's low enough. They can go to court still. It doesn't
Oh,
stop them
I
from
thought
going
you
to
don't
court.
go-
They just can't come back to us.
They just can't come back next
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Right,
Oh.
we're done.
Oh, okay,
And if
okay.
they don't, then some people do that. They don't think we took enough, or we
Yeah.
take $5, and, that means they can't come back, and then they wanna go to court after that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just get to the point where I'm a data person. I don't know how to judge. Is this home, how sometimes we say things are priceless? Is this the opposite? Has no value anymore to majority of buyers? Maybe, but I don't know how to account for that. Whereas I have data to support.
I mean, there's always gonna be
A different reduction.
somebody,
Yeah,
it's
there's
gotta
obviously
be,
somebody.
it's gonna be a low price.
Yeah, it's gonna be a low price. You're gonna pay the price for that.
It's
Yep,
a location issue, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. It's nothing to
Yep.
do with the beautiful, I mean, it's a huge house, and he's got pool, they've got a lot going on in
Yeah.
there, but, okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll make a motion, I guess, to reduce in part to 1,191,000.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
So it's a grant in part to 1,191,000 after the card correction.
Mhm.
Now, is there something, in town, ordinances that would, like, make that facility dim those lights somehow, or something
I
that make
don't
it?
know.
I think they're working on a light ordinance right now. I
Are
think
they?
there is
Really?
one.
Oh, if they are, that would be a good thing.
I
Yeah.
No, it's terrible, it's
I
shining right
hear
in the
complaints
window.
about it all the time,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like constant headlights in
Yeah.
the windows.
Scandinavian Club was one of the ones I heard about all the time. The neighbors down in Pine Creek.
Well, I mean, I just feel awful for those people.
I know, I do
I don't know what I would do if it were next to me. Because once it gets announced that it's happening, they're never selling that. It'll be a lifetime to sell the house.
too.
Yeah.
Okay, next one.
That's hard.
John Sarno, appeal number 16. 39 Rhoda Avenue. Single family, town's value is 1,810,300. And the, let's see, they got it separated out, okay. This is value, current land dwelling situation, appraisal. Town's value, what is his value? Why am I not being able to find this?
He asked to go to 1,650,000.
Million.
Yeah, did you say, I
1 million.
wasn't paying attention, you said 39 Rhoda Avenue,
Yeah,
right?
maybe it's
Okay.
on this one.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the town has it at
Oh, that's it, right.
1,810,300,
Yep.
and he's asking for
I got it down here,
1,650,000.
yep. It's not on this one, that's why I left it blank on this one. I got
Are
it
the
now.
minutes in the file? They don't ever add them in?
I don't know.
Like this sheet with that we took the minutes on, usually they should put it at the end, is it the very last sheet?
There's something here that, I don't know if this is the one, but,
No, it'd be what Carol was taking, who was attendance, and if they changed their amount. They might have stapled it and made it a couple of last sheets, no. Maybe you took them out, they might have taken them, they might have, oh yeah, there's the sign, is it next,
let's
look
see.
at one before
Yeah,
that.
it might be it, wait a minute now.
There it is. That's probably the sheet that types up, that's where anybody made handwritten corrections
Okay.
on the ask amount.
Okay, so his,
It's also online now, I think they scanned it in, actually. Anyway,
okay. So I'm sorry, where were we with numbers?
I think she said it, right? He wants to go to 1,650,000.
He wants to go to 1,650,000, I've got it now. Okay.
And this, I thought that he was questioning whether his house was 3,300 square feet or 3,910. I wasn't here for this one, but I think, did you guys ask someone to go measure it or confirm the square footage?
Somebody constructed home.
Yeah, we looked at this and we thought, why do I have 39?
I think he said in MLS someplace he saw it
What
bigger
did
than
he
what he
think
said.
it was?
He thought it was 3,300 square feet because that's what he saw in zoning or something like that.
Oh,
think
is
the
this a new, when was this house built?
This
Two
was,
thousand 13.
yeah, 2013.
Is that when he bought it? Was
He
this the
bought
one
it
where
in
I was saying that, like, you know, when you buy things on MLS from a builder, they always have, oftentimes they have higher square footage,
That was the
but
long,
when
that
they
was
get
long.
this,
Oh,
oh,
that was
that was,
Lundy, yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah, he listed a bunch of properties, but they're not sales. He was just looking at the values of the dwelling compared to his own dwelling. Like 16 Norcliffe, he listed, but that's not a sale. There was only one sale on his list of the 4 that he gave, and it was 85 Rhoda, 3,800 square feet, and it sold for $2 million on July
Right,
20.
that was my buyer.
Right, so
Did we
I didn't think he had a case, assuming he's at
Thought
3910.
we did,
So to get sale comps?
I guess you didn't.
Yeah, I thought we did.
Yeah, he's got the last thing in the thing is an as-built with a square footage of 3,300 square feet dated April 18th, 2013, in his
Yeah.
in the backup.
For the
But
as-built.
you're pretty
Okay.
sure it was bigger than that. I mean, like I
Me?
said, he
No.
didn't provide sales, and if we didn't ask for a measurement, I don't know that there's anything he really, right, that he can say. If they didn't provide any sales, other than the 85 Rhoda at 3,800 square
The one
feet,
with
these
the,
are 3,900
attic,
square feet.
finished attic space?
Yes, the finished attic is 522,
Yeah.
I think Carol said.
Right. If you look at his, vision appraisal, it breaks it all down. I don't think he was, taking that into account.
Does anyone have the 85 Rhoda? What time of year was that? I can't remember my own.
Yeah,
sale.
July 21, 2020. It's
Of
3829 square feet.
Okay, I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
it
I
was
don't remember it being an aggressive time at that point. Okay. So, just out of curiosity, 3,800 is Rhoda?
Yeah, 3829 square feet. It was built in 2019, and it sold for $2,721,20.
And he's
That was the
33.
only- Yeah. Again, he was looking at the values of the dwellings when he was comparing, you know, he wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily looking at sales.
Well, I just took, and I don't know if this is really fair because Rhoda was a brand new house, 7 years younger than 2013, but I took 2 million, divided it by, again, I like to use dollar per square foot if it's new construction. I feel like it's more valuable, but just then in general. So 3,800, 2 million divided by 3,800. And then I multiplied times 3,300 and I got to a value of 1,692,000.
Yeah, but what about 3910? He's saying 3,300, but
But we don't know. We
got-
think he has more square footages than that, right? If we didn't ask anybody,
Yeah.
is Paula
Wait,
there?
but you said the field card said 33, I thought.
No, the field card says 3,900,
Ah.
3,910.
Vision
Ah.
appraisal,
Yep.
3910.
It was 522 and then finished in the attic. And so I think during the hearing, you did the math and subtracted the 522 from the finished attic, and that brought him down closer to the 3,300. Right?
I mean, even the
but if
original, even the original MLS listing is 3730. I
Right.
don't remember ever seeing 3,300.
Ugh.
I mean, I'm tempted to
Okay.
say, let's just deny it and let him come back with some other sales.
Well, yeah, I mean, he had it on the market in 2016 and 2018, 171 days, 94 days. So, you know, that's leading up to 2019 and 20, and that was for 1,649, and it didn't sell. Just an FYI.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
When?
From 2016 until, December 2016 to December 2018. He had it on for, those 2 years.
Okay. Nah, we can't even use it. It's too long ago. Forget it.
No, too old.
Yeah, but 1649, yeah. 1650.
Yeah, I mean,
What
I feel in a way he probably needs to have an appraisal.
I don't think he proved his case, quite honestly.
No,
That's what I'm
he-
saying.
Yeah,
You
I was
have to,
looking at the
you have to have sales.
Right,
Mhm.
and if he wants to go to court, he can get an appraisal and go to court. If he
Yeah.
wants to do it now, or he can come back at another time.
Yeah, and the only sale he had is that 2 million.
Yeah, that won't help
Right,
us.
and that's not gonna help him.
No.
Yeah.
No, right.
So
So
is there a
that's our
motion on the
advice.
table?
I think part of the helpful hints also says not to do this. I think
I
it
know.
says you have to use sales, not homes in your neighborhood with value. I could be wrong, but in any case, why don't we just make a motion then? I'll state it in the affirmative to grant the appellant's requested reduction to $1,650,000. Anyone, all those in favor say. And all those who are opposed.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Unanimous.
Okay.
She can see us, right? Can you see us, Carol? You can,
Yeah,
right?
I have so many
Oh.
screens up that I wasn't on the meeting screen.
No, I was just realizing we can see you, but you can also.
I just want to take a second just to remind everybody, the next time we do this where we ask them to scan things, don't stick it on the paper because they scanned it that way. I couldn't read what it said.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Hello.
I didn't think somebody would, I mean,
Ever
it was
do
the
that.
first thing on top. I thought you would take the Post-it off that says, please.
Well, that would have been a good idea, but,
think so, yeah.
okay. What do I know about office work?
Everything got scanned, including your notes. Okay.
Okay, the next one is appeal number 17, Jason Coburn at 200 Lucille Street North. I never knew there was a north. I just thought it was the whole street, but whatever. Property description, he doesn't give it. Okay. Current values. Current land values.
Yeah, well, I can read it.
That's
So
it. Okay, go ahead, yeah, if you
Got
can
it?
read it better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
no, go ahead.
the town has the property valued at $1,126,200.
Oh, I've got it, he's got the wrong place. Okay.
And he was requesting a reduction to $1,091,400. But really, his only case was that, the card had marked that he has a gunite pool.
I remember this
And he
guy.
does not, he has a liner pool.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
And I believe that was done
He
already.
came with his son, yep, so
Yep.
there is a corrected card, I double checked, there's a couple,
Yeah, I saw
corrected
that.
card in the backup.
Mhm.
And it actually took a little bit more off than he's asking for, so the change in the pool took $40,000 off of, off the value. So we could do that as a card correction,
Yeah, let's,
and then whether we deny his appeal or not, I don't know.
And what
because
does
it's
that bring
hard
him to?
value. It brings him to $1,086,200, which is slightly less than what he asked for, but I think he was just trying to do the math himself and figure out what a pool was worth.
so why don't we just vote on the appeal, and then we don't have to worry about, oh, no, we can't, because it's not.
It's only if he ever wants to appeal in the future, I don't know, we could do what we want, because it was only a card correction, right? I guess we could just vote on it as a card correction.
Oh, let's just do
Yeah,
that then.
let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to, make a card correction on this property to change the pool from a gunite pool to a liner. That reduces the, town's appraised value to $1,086,200.
Okay.
That was easy.
And that's unanimous? Yes.
Yes.
Everybody voted? Okay. I mean, I suppose
And
we
is
could deny the
this-
appeal because,
Excuse me, is this considered an in part or no? Just a card correction already in place?
Probably,
should deny the appeal, right?
so
I
that
think
he
we
does
should-
want to come back, he can,
Right,
Okay.
let's do that, and since you did technically appeal, right, and you requested a value of $1,091,000, so 400, I suppose, the next motion would be to change the value from $1,086,200 to the requested value of $1,091,400. All those in favor? Nobody? Everybody, right?
Right, nobody's
Everybody
ever-
opposed to that, and then you have,
Everybody's opposed.
then you have votes on both, okay.
So then it's unanimous, denial of that appeal.
Yeah,
Okay.
but he's got his card correction. And the card correction would have carried forward anyway, but now he's got the 40,000 off.
We should just make sure that in that letter, he doesn't, think that he got denied when he actually, got the, what he wanted. And
Yeah.
Right.
Actually,
I think it just shows your old value, new value.
Yeah, I
Does
think
it
so.
say denied? I don't remember what the decision.
I don't think
He'll
it
be
says
happy.
denied.
Oh, no, there is. Your grant in part, that's right, there is a grant in part, and, I don't know what they did with the card correction votes in the past. But as long as he gets 2 letters, he'll get his card correction letter.
Right,
and
okay, yeah.
assuming that's-
Yep.
Paula, is that how you do it now? Is she there? Not there.
She was checking something.
Okay.
Let's
We
see.
could ask her, do they send you?
Oh, wait. That
I'm
her?
here. I am here. I just put it on mute so you don't listen to me talking to my cat.
Oh, okay.
So the question was, when we do a card correction, and then we also do a, we actually handle the appeal part, do they get 2 letters in the envelope?
I don't know how they're doing it.
Okay,
I really don't. I can look and see what they did last year probably and figure it out if I look at all the old ones.
okay,
But-
not a big deal, I think that would just make sense, so he doesn't get a denial letter,
Yeah.
it's confusing.
No,
I know somewhere in the letter it says grant in part, right, so
Mm-hmm.
I do recall seeing that on the letter, but.
yeah,
I
I
have
don't
a
think
question
you
before
get
we
the
go on.
one that says we deny the appeal because there's going to be a change. Those are only for the ones where there's no change. In dollar, where
Okay.
it doesn't change. I think that's the only time we consider sending them denial letters.
Okay, thanks. Well, I have a question.
Mhm.
Refresh my memory on how you tax new construction.
What do you mean? How do we tax it?
Well, what do you,
We-
let's say I bought a new house from a builder, okay? Say I paid $1.5 million. Make it easy, I paid
Yeah.
$1 million.
Okay.
What do I get taxed on? The sale price? And then
No.
70% of the purchase price, right?
No, we do it
Okay,
based
checking.
on the factors and algorithms that are built into the system. We don't, the sale price is only informational. Because sometimes you will find that what we think the house has, we find out it has more or less of something or fact, sometimes one of mine I had recently was, it said with an unfinished basement and unfinished attic, but it sold and I'm like, this is not coming out it was like way crazy. They had finished the attic and the basement. It made it worth more, but we just then put in those factors. But we don't just say, oh, this is the sale price, this is what we start with. Not at all, because we always have to go back to the revaluation date. So that takes away that, if a new house built this year is probably going to be sell for a lot more than what we would say the value is, because we have to go back to October 2020 values. So we don't really look at the sales for that in that respect. We just more in terms of getting all the factors correct of what the house is.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so going forward, right, at the next reval, hopefully it will be in line,
Right, it'll be in line.
appropriate.
Correct.
Right.
Okay. Just asked. All right, so this is appeal number 18, Timothy Timniak, 32 Longdean Road, residential property. Town value is 1,259,800.
Mhm.
And
And the
I
ask
think-
is 1,069,900.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So if you recall, his argument was, he took what he paid basically for the tear down, or 17.5, and then what it cost him to build it, and that would, well, I've got a number here of 1,082,500. I know he's asking for 1,069,900. I don't know where he got that number, but, so why wouldn't we use that formula.
Yeah, I mean,
For the
Well,
very
but
reasons
fair,
that.
I don't, isn't fair, but we're supposed to use fair market value,
right,
Yeah,
not cost. So
Right.
I'm stuck on this
Fair
one
market
because,
value as of the revaluation date, so we always have, that's why we have cost factors figured in, because we can't, we, like I said, you have to go back to what the market was October 1, 2020. So while he may, so that's why I said it can be, especially now, we're seeing them way over, their sale price is way over what we're saying the value is, because we have to go back to October 1, 2020.
Right, well, but I think, but his point was cost, and so he wanted us to just take what he paid for the land and add his cost onto it to come up with what he thought he should be at. And then his second argument, sorry, I think the second part was that he was comparing himself to 112 Veris, which he said he bid on and did not get, and
Right.
that sold. And there's the sale, right, of
right.
June 22nd, 2020, and that sold for $1,090,000. And that was, a few months before October 2020. So
Yeah.
I went and I looked at, because that particular property is appraised a lot less than his property, so I looked at the two of them to try to figure out why is his property appraised so much higher? If he thinks he's, the lot size is similar, same neighborhood, he's got 6,000 square foot lot, that's a 6,250. His home is newer, so these are the things I looked at. His house is newer, built in 2021, so the other house is a 2018, so he is 3 years newer. His square footage is 3,130. That property square footage is 2,887. He's marked as a modern colonial, which is a style, I believe, that bumps up the value of the house. The other one is a colonial. He has 9 rooms, the other one has 5 rooms.
I mean, the
And number of fixtures, he has 4 extra fixtures.
subjective.
But the big thing that added to his value, which took me a bit to find, if you look at the extras, he has $80,000 on his card because of flow-through in his basement. So he has a basement,
Veris
that's
Street?
32 Longdean, that's
Oh.
why. So his building value, his building new is $895, and the Veris building is $658. So it's all in the house, it's not in the land, the difference. So you can say, okay, the age bumps it up some.
well,
the
the
square
flow
footage
through,
bumps it
okay, the flow through is FEMA.
Well, they're both FEMA compliant, but you can have FEMA with a flow-through and FEMA without a flow-through. So you get
What?
extra value. Yeah, if you look on the, look at the
What
field
does it
card
matter?
for 32 Longdean,
Let me look.
take a look at that.
you get value in your building, and Paula maybe can explain why or what that means. But if you look at 32 Longdean's card, and you look at the bottom, he's got FTB for a flow-through basement, and that's valued at $19,987. Then he's got FTG for a flow-through garage,
Wait,
and
where?
that's valued at $47,000. So that's adding
I see.
$80,000 to his property. That's one of the reasons why he's different. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just trying to figure out why is he appraised at 1,259 when he thinks he's exactly the same as 112 Harris, right? Assuming we're discounting the fact that you just can't add cost to come up with the value, because we need market value. So if you're gonna say this is a good sale, that's why he's higher than 112 Harris.
Which one had
On
the
his
higher
card.
square footage, Kathleen?
He
3130?
did. By about 250 square, he's 3,130, the comp is
Yeah.
2,887. And I was interested in the room count, because he has 9 rooms, and that other one has 5 rooms. I know.
I think that house is one that I did some open houses on. There's an agent that lives there because he couldn't sell it. And he decided he was one of the investors. I think this is the one you're talking about on Vera Street, I think.
What's the Israel? You by design?
112 Veris is the house
Who-
that
Who's the
comparing
owner?
himself.
Do you have the owner's name?
Yep, give me 1 sec.
Sean Matchett and Casey Matchett?
Sean. I guess I can look it up.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's more of a longer and narrower home as opposed to his home, which is wider, it's more square. He's
Right.
got nice porch, you know, I mean, his house is beautiful, it's got the big porch on the front, you know, and you can see it does have the flow-through garages and things on the bottom. So that is, you know, if he wants to know why he's so much higher, there's a few factors, the square footage, the year built, but the 80,000 right there is in in the building area for the flow-through
Okay,
basement as
okay.
well.
Yeah, no, this
Right.
Ferris one is not the one. I don't understand the flow through. Do you? I mean, as a realtor, I don't understand that because FEMA compliance, I thought it requires 50% from a building violation. You can't be more than 50% of the basement and the garage be flow through. That's why we all stick our plexiglass up when you get the COs. So I don't understand how that would have a,
I'm not the one to really tell you about all this. I know that I mean, obviously a lot changed when Sandy happened, you know, because of so many houses changed. And I know that Ken went and spent quite a bit of time comparing the different types of flow through. I mean, they're all flow through. There's always flow through, but some have garages, some don't. Some have just like a carport, some are completely open. And I know and I mean, honestly, when I get a house, because I have a few houses near the water, I just go to him and say, which one is this? Because so he is, I mean, if you really want to know, I can have him tell you about the differences of all of them because he has spent quite a bit of time on that.
yeah, well, to me,
So
it's a negative. I find it to be a negative.
To have a
I have a
flow through
question.
garage versus flow through area?
Any type of flow through, it's, you know,
You have to
you're
have
open to.
flow through in that area, otherwise, or you're just on stilts. I mean, that's
Right.
the water has to go through. But some houses aren't I don't believe allowed to have garages. They have to be completely open. And some of them, I like I said, this is not my expertise. It's Ken's. He spent.
All right.
So, I mean, I will tell
Yeah,
him.
and actually, the comp does have a garage and it has a value, so maybe maybe it isn't the 80,000. The comp does have a garage, it has an FTR on it valued at 40,000.
Yeah, I'm
if I
looking
remember
at it
right.
on Zillow.
Yeah. So that's not so it's not an $80,000 whatever, $60,000 difference after that, or whatever I said. That's not accurate. 20 and 50, 70, it's not that, because the other one does have a garage, it's just not a.
So is it just a difference between the 2 years of when they were constructed? One
Yeah, or this-
doesn't have the flow-through?
I'm guessing this 32 Longdine, has higher quality of construction, if it's listed as a modern colonial, it may have higher end finishes and things in it as well. Just because the value of the property, or it could be the porches, the decking, I'm not really
Yeah.
sure.
I don't know the difference. I don't see a difference between, as far as value, between the modern colonial that he has,
I don't
which
either.
I don't think is all that great, to tell you the truth, and the,
I didn't even know that was a distinction.
I know,
Yeah, I believe if you change a card from a style 2, which is modern colonial, to a style.
Who
who
decides?
decides that?
The assessor, that's part of the data, it's all one of the many,
But
many
that's
factors. that
really
go in.
subjective. I mean, you just said that house is
It
beautiful.
is.
I don't like it. It's just a subjective thing. I mean,
That's true.
I mean,
Colin can ask, I guess you can answer,
But
does a modern
112
colonial.
Beerus is very nice.
yeah, that's a much nicer looking house as far
Very
as
nice inside. I don't know why.
yeah, here it is here.
The
Which
other
one
one
is
is
this? To
considered
me, this is a
worse.
better looking house.
Well, I mean, I'm just looking at the
Everyone
interior.
has their own taste, but I
Yeah.
believe it has to do with the interior finishes are different usually. And also the exterior is not just a colonial as in a rectangular box, but has different roof lines. And I think that's where you get more of the difference in this case. It's more of the interior finishes and the roof lines and the shape of it. It's not just, we were getting too many, for my experience, and I'm not talking about waterfront or the water homes because I don't have that many of them. But it was just, I was getting these houses that to say that they were just a colonial and then compare it to another colonial that was built in the 70s or 80s, and it was just sort of the rectangular box, and then you get these really nice farmhouse colonials. That's what they're called on the in the marketing, where they have all these different roof lines and stuff. It's a different, and then interior is a different grade of interiors. We needed to have some way of just differentiating the houses.
Well, whoever made the decision between these two made a
Made a
mistake,
mistake.
because they're both very, very nice inside. I don't know why they made a distinction between one over the
Yes,
other.
you do.
Makes no sense to me.
Well, the flow through too, I mean, looking at the 112 Veris, right, the garage looks like it's built like a real garage. It's definitely not a flow through garage.
Mhm.
And you look at the.
But is that true,
property.
Paula, that in 2018 you could build that without a flow through?
No, I don't know how that could be. My house is 2016, 17, and it
A
was
lot of them
required.
look like they're garages, but they're really
I
not.
hate it.
They have the
Oh, the one
door
I sold
there.
on Birch is like that. It looks like a regular
Yeah.
garage, but it's not.
Well, if you look at the exterior of Veris, you see there's doors on the back side of the garage,
Yep.
so I think,
So maybe it is a flow through and it's just not working.
well, it makes sense that it would
I'm
have to
sorry,
be.
I don't have the, what address did you say on Veris?
112.
112.
112, okay.
They do have,
No,
no,
The exterior,
Yeah.
there's doors on the back of the garage.
I mean, either way, I think we just, we gotta decide. I don't think, personally, I won't use like add the square footage of what I pay for it, plus the land to come up with
Yeah,
the
all
value.
right,
So I
I
think
get
we just
that.
need to look at he only gave us the one comp, so I think we have to look at the sale price, right, of the 112 Veris and decide,
Mhm.
can we bring them lower than the Veris sale? I think the answer is,
Well,
I mean,
he's got
for me,
greater
no.
square footage.
yeah, he's got a newer home, he's got more square footage, he has the flow through, which
It's only
supposedly has
2 years
value.
old.
He's got 9 rooms versus 5 so there's, I don't know.
Well, just
And-
based on square footage alone, which again is just for what it's worth, it would be at like 1,180,000. But
Yeah,
that's,
that's what I got too.
Just square footage, and that's not finishes or anything else.
But I think
I
the
don't
finishes.
care about finishes like that.
But if you
I-
look
I-
at the finishes, you'll
but
see
it-
they're very, very similar. I don't
Whose is
see
newer?
where-
His is
His
newer,
is 3
yes?
years newer. He's a 2021, and the other one's a 2018.
All right, not a huge, not, that to me is not a
No.
huge thing. Wait, why is his land valued as a condition of 0.95?
On
Yeah,
Veris,
well,
There's
it's
no
not-
note, there's no
which
notes
page
on that.
which one are you talking about, Veris or Longdean?
I'm looking at Longdean, Timothy, yeah, I'm looking at Longdean, and it says the value is, has a 5% reduction for something, but there's no notes
It's
on
probably
it.
the water treatment
In
plant.
that time period. So this is what I want it to be.
He backs up,
Oh.
I mean,
He
yeah.
paid $665.
Some of the ones on Long
Which isn't
Beach
cheap for
either
us.
have a view
Oh,
or
okay.
a side
You're right.
view. Yeah, if you put it on the G,
I don't
that's
see
my
that's a
guess,
problem.
even though it's not noted in the chart, that
You add it
could
together.
be the reason.
Okay, so that's already accounted for. The views or the smells, I don't know.
I don't know, but I did put it on the GIS, and I think he doesn't look straight back at it, but I think it's sideways from him, is that right? Doesn't Veris run
Okay.
north
Because
and
that
Longdean
is,
runs?
that is a difference between Veres and Longdean. That's one
And it is.
aspect of a negative in, in his favor. However,
Yeah,
Veres is a much
20,000.
busier road than Longdean, because Longdean is more of a side street and people fly
True.
down Veres to get to Johnny's little baseball games.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
So I don't know, I'm just trying to, in my head.
yeah,
I
you're
don't
right, the
know.
land value is 20 is the difference. He's got 20,000 off his land for the 0.95, takes 20,000
For the
off.
dump view. What do you guys think about using the
I like it.
1,180,000?
I like it. I did the same thing in my
I don't really think 3 years is making a difference. I
I don't,
really, and I don't care about the
Right.
finishes. Anyone who's builds a new home, builds it builder spec. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
No, this is not, I live in this neighborhood. This is not the beach. You know, no builder is throwing, you know, $5,000 chandeliers in these homes.
Thank you for saying that. You're one of the only people that lives there that ever says that, and it's true.
It's true. I'm on the wrong side of Reef. It's fine.
What do you care?
I
Well, I
actually
just
like
think-
it. The people are nice.
they made a mistake when they classified it as modern farmhouse.
So do I just don't,
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
just dumb.
ridiculous.
Well, I
Which
think
would
they
be-
both should be modern colonials, that's what I think. I think they both should be there.
I don't see
because-
why they just can't be colonials, they're
Why can't it
colonials.
just be a colonial built in 2018 or
Because what Paula
2019?
said is that you think of a 1950s traditional old colonial, these have.
Yeah, but they're not gonna be the same value anyway.
It's not, because
Yeah,
it was
but-
what was
That's
the
just
year that it was.
That's a baloney excuse to jack up the price.
Even if you,
Really?
if you build a box, a modular box, and it's a flat front colonial, it still isn't as impressive looking as the ones with the multiple roof lines.
Right, but the value of it, even when they sell it, is gonna be different. Those fancy roof lines and the
Right.
turrets and all that stuff,
Right.
they get more money for them.
But in the computer, they have to account for that to make it work, so that's what.
But again, that's what I'm saying, we're making it work, not giving it what it really is. We account for it by making it work. Works for who? Doesn't
Okay,
work for
okay.
this
No,
guy.
the sales will do it, the sales will move,
Yeah.
and therefore the computer has to have something in it to help the sales.
So just
Right.
make it a colonial. I still don't understand, I'll never understand the reason to
Yeah.
call something different than what it really is, just to get more money out of it.
Right. Do we have one?
Guys,
is
we have
Paula
1,
looking
2,
at-
3, 4, 5, 6. We're halfway through. Sorry to have this
Wanna
little
make a
side
motion?
conversation.
Yeah, let's make a motion.
Yeah,
to go
I'd like
on.
to make a motion for,
Did Paula have one other piece of information about the flow through, or we're done talking about that? I don't remember, she was looking something.
No, I said I would tell Ken to talk to either, give you something or so that way you can all understand them. Because he does
Okay.
have everything, he does have every type of garage or whatever, categorized.
Yeah.
whatever's
I've seen that
underneath.
before on certain FEMA ones. I mean, probably FEMA compliant means you're a certain height, right?
Yeah.
And other
Yes.
things you have to do. But
I'm gonna
just
look on
maybe
my
that.
own field card and see if flow is there. Okay, I make a motion to grant in part to 1,180,000.
All in favor? Throw your hands up, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Opposed?
I'm gonna, yeah.
Motion carries, but it's 3 in favor, 2 opposed.
And it's,
Kathleen and Peter are opposed.
and it's a grant in part, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a
Okay.
grant in part. Okay, we're halfway through. How about a break?
And what was it, 1,190,000?
yeah,
1,180,000.
that's what I'm writing.
180.
What are you writing? 1 million what, Carol?
1180.
1180. I thought that's what you said.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 7:30. How about a break?
Yeah, sure.
Okay? Take a 20-minute break.
What time are we going to? I thought the,
9
building
o'clock.
had to close
Has to close at 9.
9 o'clock.
Yeah. How about a 15 minutes since it's 7:30?
I was gonna say,
I'll eat as fast as I can.
I didn't even bring any food, so.
I can't make it till 9. I can't eat that way. I'll be sitting up all night, so.
So can we pause the recording?
Oh, yeah, we'll pause the recording.
Okay. And we're doing how long? 5 minutes?
15 minutes.
Pause. How do you pause it?
I'm gonna order pizza.
Just hit.
Do we?
record.
No,
We have a couple of,
I'm gonna run home and get some.
okay, we
Yeah,
are now
so,
resuming.
2:13.
what are we,
am I
19?
saying? Not 2:13.
Not too- Is that on
The
now?
time of the tape.
7:44.
7:44, and we're back. Okay, ready? We are now on appeal number 21. 80 Casimir Drive, Ebenezer, that'll do. Single family residence.
Jaya Sealand.
Yeah, what she said, yeah, that's it. Let's see. Current values. Total appraised, 440,600. His statement of value is 400,000 even.
Mm-hmm.
And you said the property address, right?
Properties, oh, so yes, I said 80 Casimir Drive, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, properties with larger living areas have lower taxes in comparison. Detached properties, states case. I can't really read his handwriting that well. Building permit, building records, only 62%. I have no idea what that means. Three upgrades, oh, he did 3 upgrades, done for a value of 83,000. I don't know when he did them because I don't have the field card yet. So let's see what Ebenezer's got to say. He's included pictures. Oh, what's this? He has an appraisal?
Yeah, he has a bank
Yes,
appraisal.
Yes.
Oh, how did I miss that? Okay,
Or no, it's a retrospective appraisal. I don't think it's a bank appraisal, actually.
Because now it's attached, there's only 2 pages connected here, and I gotta find the rest of them. Okay, here it is, appraisal of real property located at Casimir Drive. Okay. Let's see what they are.
Remember, this is Taylor Beerbauer, did this appraisal.
Okay. This thing is all taken apart here, let's see. Okay. What do we have?
And at that time, when she did it, in 2020, it came out to 390.
Yeah, the appraisal's for 390, but this is a retrospective appraisal, it says.
Yeah,
Right.
why did they?
Yeah, it would be a retrospective appraisal.
I don't remember why. they
Yeah,
did
so it's not a bank appraisal. It says the 3 neighborhood sales included
Yeah.
in the market grid all conform to the valuation date of 10/1/2020.
Okay.
Provide a consistent range of indicated value for the subject, which supports a value conclusion as of 10/1/2020 of 390.
that. They're asking for 400.
Yeah. I've done kitchen done 39 years ago, that it's older inside. They paid $360 for it in 2015, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have the bank appraisal retrospective. It was, the appraisal was done in 2023. Something about a half bath in the basement or something. They don't, is this the one that doesn't have a master bath?
No master bath,
No master bath, right?
yeah. And it's a split, right?
Yeah.
So it's really not.
So there's 3 comps on there, right? 210 Skytop
Mhm.
Terrace,
20 Casimir.
sold in September of 2020. The 20 Casimir is a little older, sold in February of 2020. That was a low sale, it looks like, at 320. 210 Skytop sold for 435, and then the 57 Pine Ridge sold for 485 in July of 2020. Looks like she adjusted the 20 Casimir up, right, and the others down. I mean, what do you guys think of those comps for this? 20 Casimir's on the same street,
Mhm.
but it looks like
Right.
it's smaller. I think they're both the same age, they're both 69 years old. This one has, the 20 Casimir is small, it's 988 square feet, where the subject property is 1377, but she did adjust up 30,000 for the square footage, or 210 side top.
Wait, I'm not seeing 30.
Didn't they?
30,000?
29,175.
Because I don't know
What?
why.
Okay,
Didn't it
got
for
it.
sale? Because
I don't know, I have these.
I have Bennett Street, Merritt Street, Churchill, I have,
Maybe they
They
gave us a
include their
list,
own
too.
photos. I feel like one of them,
Wait a
they
minute
put
now.
their own pictures in or something.
yeah, they gave us some Zillow
Well, they gave us
Some
some Zillow stuff, too.
Yeah,
sales
yeah.
too. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
You have Bennett Street, 246 Bennett,
840 Churchill.
1290 Merritt, 840 Churchill. Yeah.
But some of these we were saying
Some of
weren't
these are-
valid,
yeah.
because Merritt is it's right next to Bridgeport.
Right, and their
Yeah.
Zillow
And
values
these
or
are-
they
yeah.
sales?
No, let me see.
But
They say they
the other
sold.
one, the Bennett
And
and,
the one I'm looking at right now is Bennett, and
yeah,
that's sold in the reval period. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, it's Bennett,
and Churchill too.
yep. But
Yeah.
this house is,
That's what we said.
house is almost 2,200 square feet.
Which,
So-
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
so I'm not gonna adjust for that, he's got an appraisal that adjusted for it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna figure
and
that out.
So so they brought
Actually,
appraisal.
plus their own comps,
Yeah, plus sold comps.
right. Yeah, these are sold comps. There might be some others that aren't, the ones I looked at so far. This one might not be. I don't see a sale date on this one. And that's Crest Terrace.
80 Casimir, she said, sold
That's,
in May of 2021. Or that's what the note says, compare source, appraisal report, May 10, 2021, 80 Casimir Drive.
I think
But maybe that
that's too
didn't
far
sell.
out.
it's too far, it is too far out.
What is Bennett or Casimir?
No, Casimir, 2021. Well, we don't need
The
them.
sale.
She's got
Well, you
other,
know it'd be higher, but yeah, that's.
yeah, she's got other comps, I mean, I don't know, we need their comps, I mean,
I'm happy with the 400.
I'm okay with the ones that are on the appraisal, since she adjusted.
Yeah.
She did pick another one on the street, so you see the 20, you know what, a smaller house at 988, right? That's the square footage. And it's an earlier sale, it's a February sale, so.
I don't have a problem with the February sale, because the other one on Casimir was in 2021. So it's like, well, what's the difference?
Oh, they're both probably the same distance from October 2020.
Yeah.
Market was rising, we know that. But I mean, if someone wants to make a motion to approve it, I'm okay with that.
All right, I make a motion to, grant the appeal for, 80 Casimir Drive to 400,000.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. Next is number 22.
And it is 7:51 PM. right?
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yep,
Sometimes it's good to
7:51.
have it on the
Yeah,
tape
yep.
too, so people are listening, they know.
Bill number 22. It is 1111 Basco Hill Road. Town value is $8,384,700. The appellate's opinion of value is $6,200 even. The town improperly assessed my home at a higher value than market rate. Okay. That's what he says. That's what we got here.
Well, this is a sale.
Right, this is the one where he purchased it, and he's saying that it should be, I guess, what he paid for it, $6,200,000.
And I think we all heard it, right? I mean, I know I heard this.
Yeah, I heard that one. I heard them all. Well, I was there. I didn't have to hear it. I was sitting there, so.
Jackie Herbert's house.
Yeah.
Something about there were two deeds, it's fairly
Right, it's
unusual
2
looking
deeds because of the way it was transferred over.
It was an arm's length transaction, the people were from out of town, it had been on the market, I think I asked them, how long it had been on the market, they showed the price reductions, and that it sold after the reval date, but they're not asking to come down from the sale price, they want to be at the $6,200,000.
Right.
Is that what you understood?
Yep.
Okay,
That's exactly.
I mean, I'm good with that, I don't know about
Yeah,
somebody else.
Yep.
I'm good with that.
Any question, any discussion? Okay, let's vote. All those in favor of reducing the value to the requested amount of $6,200,000? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, next is appeal number 23.
Wow, okay, so this is, and in full disclosure, Peter, Sam, even though, so initially when, I think you were even here that night, when we
Yeah.
were waiting for everybody, and I said, oh, my client, I call him my client because he's been calling me for years about, every time I have a multifamily listing or a, investment property listing, he calls me, even though he's never bought a single thing with me. But he always asks my opinion. And I just listed a, multifamily on Riverside, so he's been calling me a lot about that. He didn't put the offer in because he's a very analytical guy, and, he didn't end up bidding on it. But, he's not my client because he's got a realtor that represents him for all his rentals. So, anyway, that's full disclosure.
And so I'll just share with you guys too, before we get into it, because, right, we know that this is a rental property. Did you read it into the record? I don't remember.
No, we never got that far.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Address is 988 Reef Road, two-family residence. Total appraised value by the town is, I think that's a $36,900. And he's asking for a value of $475,000. Or was that a 2? Wait a minute.
That looks like a 2.
Well, that one, five
He
hundred.
changed it to 500 at the
Okay.
hearing.
All right, so
Yeah.
this is a
Yeah,
change.
yeah,
We need to
so
make sure
500.
that's reflected, yeah.
yep.
500, okay. He was talking about, budgeting, I guess he had a 50% increase in 1 year.
Yeah.
So I'll just,
State says it's too much.
I'll just
I
pass
agree.
this out. I wanted to really understand how the income approach works versus the sales approach.
Mhm.
So I tried to figure out how to make it work. I asked Ross what the typical formula is. I also talked to Catherine Giff and said, what do you remember? Because she did a lot of this when she was on the board with us and understands how the accounting works. And so I just took what he gave us for his, if you want me to go through it, I will, or if you guys want to go, I think there's some sales too that got added, right?
And he's got comps.
Yeah, we told him he needed comps.
Okay.
I have not looked at those.
Okay. Anyway,
I don't, to me, it's, let me take a
Assuming
quick
they're
look.
in here.
I'll go through what he told us and the calculations that I used, if you want me to quickly. He said he rented to students. He's got 2 years' worth of guaranteed leases, 9 months at $2,750, right, for 9 months for 2 sides of the building. So that's $49,500. And then 3 months in the summer for $23.50 each side. So that's 3 months times 2, so that's $14,100 for a total gross rent potential of $63,600. So what I typically see on some of these, ones, what Ross does usually for some of these use a vacancy rate of 7%. So when you deduct that out of if you use the vacancy rate of 7%, comes down to $59,148. And then you left 15% for expenses, whatever that would be, comes down to $50,278. And then Ross says when you do tax appeals, you load the cap rate when you do the tax appeal, so you don't deduct the taxes out in your expenses, you do it afterwards. So with a cap rate of 6%, which is typical for some of the rental properties, I guess, and then you load the taxes back in at 1.9% for a loaded cap rate of 7.9. And believe it or not, it brings his, it brings it to 636,403. Just doing the math, I just said, what is a typical cap rate? What's a typical vacancy? What's typical for expenses? Because he didn't give us his expenses, right? So we don't know what his expenses are, but that would be his expenses excluding real estate taxes, because since it's a tax appeal, you need to take the real estate taxes out when you calculate your expenses, because they're going to vary based on what your value is in the end.
I don't get that about taking the
I know.
taxes
I don't
out.
get why you take it out completely.
So why are you taking your taxes out?
You
then?
take it out at the beginning, because if you're doing a tax appeal and you want your building to be worth 50% less, you can't include what your taxes are now in your expenses, because your taxes are going to change. So you don't put it as a fixed expense. You take it out because you're trying to say what I should be
Well,
at.
do you put it back in at something?
Yeah, you put it back for Fairfield, so it's based on the mill rate. And I see it in the commercial, we did 2 commercial appraisals. I looked in those commercial appraisals, they're using the exact same tax load rate in the commercial appraisals that Ross gave me. So he's like 1.9 for Fairfield, you can call it 2. So I used the 1.9%. So it's based on a mill rate of 26, whatever our mill rate is, 0.267. Will give you, when you load the cap rate, it loads at 1.9%. So you're putting the taxes back in as if it was a percentage of the building, and then it comes back to 636,403. So that's where he lands as, assuming my math is right, and I had Catherine with me too, because I said, I need to understand how all this stuff works, because we have some commercials coming up tonight, and I need you to, walk me through.
That's not really
these
commercial,
appraisals.
this is 2-family. I don't consider that commercial.
Well, I shouldn't say that. When you do an appraisal, you have to do the highest and best use, right? That's technically what the law calls for, so you can use the cost approach, you can use the income and expense approach, you can use the sales approach, but it's really the highest and best use. And given that this is a student rental that is fully booked for 2 years into the future, that's a pretty steady rental income for him, at least until the next reval. He's got 2 more years of guaranteed income. And you gave him, at 7% vacancy, that allowed him to have not a full rental in the summertime, right? But we know he's fully rented during the academic year. So you could increase the vacancy rate a little bit if you felt like you know, he's not renting in the summer or whatever, but he didn't say that. He says he gets $23.50 in the summer generally.
But I'm
Well,
still looking at the, I mean,
actually,
I'm looking at the sale of Reef Road.
Yeah, me
This
too.
sale one, 684.
yes, so, and the thing is, I didn't know which one his was. I mean, I always knew that he had one down there, but I never knew which property was his, so I did drive down there and took a look. And that section of Reef Road has a lot of these side-by-side two-families. There's a whole bunch of them. There was only one that I thought was in as bad a condition as Sam's. The rest of them were much nicer, in my opinion. I'd have to go back and look and see if there's any interior photos. But I'm just looking at this one that sold for
Yeah.
500. And there's only one photo of that, so there, you can't see the inside. But just on the outside, it's way nicer than Sam's. I mean, I think we need to look at, like you said, at the sale prices too, but so many of those places down there, they don't turn over very often. They don't change hands that often. And I know Nancy Thorne has a house right across the street on Reef. She could not rent it last summer, first summer ever. She said, I don't know what's going on, couldn't rent it. And Sam said the same thing, he has trouble renting it in the summer.
I mean, you could make his rental 0. I can put that in the spreadsheet and you see what happens to the number when you say he gets no summer rental, he has no opportunity for any rental in the summer. I could do, I can tell you what the number is gonna be if I say 0 in the summer, and then assume his vacancy rate is 0 as well, right? Because he's gonna obviously have it 100% rented. And then it comes up to 532.
So how much weight are we putting on this approach, the income approach, versus the value of the house of what it's worth?
I think we have to use the highest and best use. And in this neighborhood, highest and best use for this property is as a student rental. That's probably why he's trying to buy another two-family, because he wants to rent them out. So I think it'd be one thing if that wasn't, the highest and best use for this property, but clearly as a student rental, right? I mean, that's how he's generating a lot of income from that, right? Student rentals alone, he's
Yeah,
getting
but
a lot.
all those beach properties, that Fairfield Beach Road properties that we've looked at, which have been rented out, I mean, we looked at the value of the home. And we did not take into account income approach.
Did they give us what their tenants paid?
I doubt it.
No,
I don't remember.
no.
I mean, you can ask him for
because-
that, right? He came in and, he said it's a student rental, and he gave us what his income
Yeah,
was.
but that's beside the point. I mean, the Fairfield Beach Road properties that we have always, valued.
Maybe we should, because that's what they're gonna sell for. I mean, if you can sell a house and you can rent it to students, and the university's letting people off, and you've got a beach rental, I don't know. All I'm saying is highest and best use is what I remember hearing many times, and for him, this is what he came in and told us.
Oh.
If you guys wanna not look at,
But
What's the value of the property?
we can't use the rental values now, can we? Or aren't we supposed to be going back 19 and
Right, we're
20?
supposed to go back.
well, I think with income properties, you are expecting, it's a little, you're right, we could go backwards to what it may have been valued at, but it's, the commercial properties, from what I remember, they're
I feel
different, they
like-
move forward, you're expecting what your
Not
rent is gonna
commercial.
be over the,
That's not
okay,
fair.
rental properties,
I agree. I totally agree.
okay.
And I'm just looking at,
I mean, and
looking at
that's
that
why I think
picture.
that's why that one comp is, to me, interesting, because it's sold in I mean, of course, these are selling as two families for rental purposes. So if that
And
one's
that-
sold for 500 and it's beautiful and doesn't have crappy
Well, I mean,
garbage
here's another
showing
one
up.
which
Artwork, did he give us comp?
wait, here's another
Did he
one.
give us?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah,
Okay, so why don't we just, if you guys wanna, if you don't wanna look at the income and I mean,
yeah, well, that's what
for
I'm
me,
saying.
that's where I'm gonna go, just because
Okay.
that's how I presented it. So if you guys wanna go to the comp, you should just go to the
Kathleen?
comp and figure out what you want.
Okay, but wait, so here's an
Kathleen?
example of a rental. I mean, it's
Right.
not, it wasn't a sale price, but he has 710 Reef Road in here. And the rental price, and it's one of those side-by-side ones, just like his. And it rented for $2,050. It says much better
And this
condition.
one,
New
Reef
kitchen,
Road sold for
Both
eight.
sides rent
well, this particular this listing is for
half of
or
it.
one side, yeah. So much better condition, it says new kitchen, new bath, and that's appraised at $561,800. And they get even,
He gets more rent than they do. He gets $23.50.
But when?
Well,
When
now
was,
he does.
wait.
His leases are signed 2 years in advance.
That's, in 2019, October 2019.
and guys,
Um,
284 Reef Road has a leased value of 1,800. Kathleen, what number was he I'm sorry, I'm not on that page. What number was did you use your income approach? What's the
Yeah,
value?
he said $27.50 each side
But he,
for 9
Yeah.
months, and then
His
$23.50
place is a
each
dump.
side in the summer. I'm not arguing that, I'm just saying.
Yeah, he gets it though, right?
this is definitely a
Those
dump.
kids will pay for anything.
Right, but he gets it,
Put up a
so,
shelter,
does.
they'll rent it.
right.
But, I mean, that's the thing.
It adds market value, because people will, it produces income for
Then
them.
why didn't the other one why did that sell for $500,000 and it was in much better condition?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe the neighbors, I don't know.
Yeah, and
You know,
And the
I think we
nicer-
need to look at that.
and the other one sold for or rented for 1,800, and it was in beautiful condition.
Yeah.
Well, because this is crappy, and you can put a bunch of kids in it, and
I
they
mean,
can
he's the
try.
one-
Well,
gave us
maybe because
the number.
Sam allows them, to maybe these other places
Because they
that
pay
don't
all the
want,
money.
Yeah, that could be too.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And they don't want to.
Yeah,
They don't want the place
All
trashed.
I'm saying is,
But I
you know,
think
he's
you
got
have to look at
guaranteed
the
income.
value.
Not that I think
of
the students would ever
property.
trash anything, God, no.
He's got guaranteed income for
I-
2 years on this, you know, right? He just signs his leases 2 years in advance.
If you
so.
drove by and saw this house, you'd say.
I know where it is.
And he didn't say that he had trouble renting in the summer.
Yes,
You know,
no,
lower,
he's told me that.
well, he didn't say it during the
Yeah,
hearing,
oh, I don't know, I
though.
don't
Well,
know.
if he didn't say it, then you know it's not gonna be, nobody's gonna accept that, so we move on from that.
Well, he didn't say it during the hearing. He said he gets 23, that's what he said, in the summer.
He had trouble last summer with COVID, I think. He had trouble renting it last summer. I do remember him.
And,
That's why I said I can back out
Nancy
all
said
of
the
that
same
money,
thing,
all
could
of
not
that.
rent it.
But he's still gonna get a decent income from this. He's still gonna get $50,000 a year from the students.
Carol, that one that sold for, we don't know what that rental was, the one that sold for 5 and change, but it was nicer than his. Do we know what that
Yeah,
rental was?
it does. It said it on the MLS sheet that one side was owner occupied, the other side rented for 1,800, and there's a current lease in there.
Oh, owner occupied, yeah, there's
What,
no way
he
they
wanted
let
what,
students-
Oh, yeah,
500?
they're not gonna let students in there.
He wants 500?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have a sale to support his 500? And if so, do you wanna make a motion to, I mean, I kinda know what I feel, so.
685, yeah. In August of 2019.
Right.
The similar,
And I would
think-
discount it because of his crappy garbage thing, and the condition
Yeah, we
sounds
haven't even
not
talked
so
about that.
nice. I
Well,
don't know.
Actually, I
it
do
is,
have
I'm
something
telling you,
somewhere.
it's
I need to
it's
forward
a
you.
true student rental.
Right.
It's one of those true student
Yeah.
dumpy rentals.
All them landlords.
Well,
right?
and he's said, he also stated that he hasn't done anything to it, hasn't upgraded it
Right.
at all, which, I mean, I'm not blaming the guy, but
Yeah.
it's not like he's put money into the house.
All right, I mean, you
I
guys,
wouldn't put money into it either.
right.
What did you say?
You need to
Yeah,
find this
I mean, honestly, he's got one here, there's a 6-bedroom one that's 3 bedrooms on each side, and that's got even a lower appraised amount than he does.
I saw that one with the 6 bedrooms.
I don't know if that was, that right.
Maybe they're viewing his backyard as waterfront, swamp
Yeah, it
front.
kind of looks like the sound of all the crap in it, yeah.
So what comps did he give you, and do you think any of them are good, so we can, like, move
Well,
forward?
yeah, that one for
Yeah, I mean-
500.
If you wanna give him, you wanna make a motion?
I
Yeah.
honestly think that his ask is more than I would have given. So, honestly, if I see this beautiful house sold in 2019, this beautiful one for 500, I just don't see how he could be near that, but that's what he's asked for, and
I'm good with that.
I'm not
Somebody
about
make a
to
motion.
reduce
Let's
it.
move on.
All
Well,
right,
Elaine, do you wanna make, anybody
I
wanna
make
make a
a
motion? or
motion
I'll
Carol?
make a motion with, oh, go ahead, Carol.
I said
Yeah,
I
well,
make a
Carol.
motion to grant, what? What's the matter?
Nothing,
Nothing.
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought again, I'm not on the camera. I'm looking at his comps. I make a motion to grant this 988 Reef Road to the ask of 500,000. Everyone in
favor?
favor?
Three in favor, opposed.
Okay,
Two opposed, Kathleen and Peter.
okay.
Okay.
All right, next.
Ever stop. Number 27. You can call engineering.
He said he does it all
They
the
do
time.
nothing. They do nothing.
I have
Same
a-
problem in my neighborhood, but.
One of the emails on the Greg Lane property talks about that, what
What,
they're gonna do with that exact piece
Yeah,
of water then,
terrible.
how it's gonna be cleaned up. So, yeah, I was asking about that strip, but we'll get to that one in a sec. 'Cause
Okay.
It doesn't look like he's added to the chart yet,
Okay.
so.
All right, the next.
By the
appeal
way,
is-
Greg was on the plane with me.
Oh, that's right, I said he's gonna be on the plane with you, yeah.
That's so funny.
Appeal number 29, and this is for Howard Soisman, 640 Sasko Hill Road, single-family residence. The town's appraised value is $12,183,950. And the appellate's requested value is $10 million. Oh, sorry, $9 million, he changed it.
Yeah, he changed.
9 million, even. Okay, and so we're going to look at the appraisal. Let's see what we think. He was pretty good. I mean, he gave a lot more information, in here than than most of them do. He talked about why he,
Oh, this is the
Yeah, this is-
Cinto house.
yeah.
Yeah.
why he just couldn't, he first had 10 million, but
Cinto
then,
or Sosin?
no, Cinto used to own it.
He originally
before
Sosin
owned
owns
it,
it now,
yeah.
yeah.
And then stopped. And it
Left
sat vacant for many years. And then,
And then this guy bought it. He talked a lot about, originally thinking it was 10 million, but then really he didn't feel comfortable with 10. That he really felt like it was 9, and that's what he went with. So.
I did like that he brought a second
Yeah, he had
appraiser
that
in
other appraiser
because
with him, which was good. So we had two opinions of value from, two different people with, and then she agreed, she
it's a really,
said she agreed
this is a tough,
on it.
tough.
and they really poured over this one.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time on this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big house, a big piece of property.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I had the appraisal in front
Is
of me
this the
here.
one with the indoor pool?
Yeah.
Yeah,
indoor
that's right,
pool.
yeah. I didn't get to that picture yet, yeah.
And amazing, when you get to that, was it the third floor, the bathrooms, everything were just.
Yeah, they look like they're 1950s bathrooms.
It was
Here, it's right here.
shocking.
Green, the other one's pink.
So what did you
That's
think
his
of the appraisal, or his presentation?
I thought his presentation was really good, and she kind of, corroborated that. And considering the condition of the house with they've got towels underneath the French doors and windows to stop the water from coming in, but it's
Right.
not. Floors are cupping. The whole house is just a mess.
And I think I made the point, it's on the market for 14, right?
Yes, you did,
Yes.
that if it was on for
Am I-
14 and the taxes were
Yeah.
12, that it would sell for 12 if it was worth 12.
Yeah, well,
Right.
I felt that if people felt it was worth 12, they would make an offer because 12 from 14 is not,
Not that big a deal.
Right,
You're
I agree
unusual.
with you. Yeah,
Yeah, I would agree.
yep. I mean,
So-
I'll say a couple things,
Mhm.
so I mean, this is a unique property, and he used like, whatever the appraisal form is you call this, it's not the maybe it's a Fannie Mae appraisal form. And so you can see like with the adjustments down the bottom, he's got gross adjustments and net adjustments of 59%, 42%, 38%. So those are really, and when we listen to Owen, he's like, those are the places you want to look to see if they're making large adjustments on it. So I think for this particular property, he probably should have done a narrative appraisal, which is more typical for the large, unique properties where you actually do what he did when he presented it, which he didn't really talk about all the individual adjustments, right? He talked about, in general, what was wrong with the property, what some of the, the master bedroom being on the 3rd floor, it's got deferred maintenance, the dated bathrooms and kitchens, that the road, it's down from the road, that it's really not a water view property because it's over the golf course. And then he used the property next door as a similar sale, even though it's not the same size. That's why he included 702 Sasko Hill Road because it was maybe a tear down, but it was next door, so he felt
that was a land sale, yeah.
Right, he felt that was basically a land sale, even though they fixed it up. So, I mean, I thought he did a really great job. I thought it was nice that he brought her in. The only thing I would say is I wish he had written what he said, because that would be much more valuable to have in the file than attempt to work the numbers, on this kind of an appraisal sheet for such a unique property when you're, for example, the 1125 Pequot, right? He deducted, 2.7 million off of the land, and on 340 Willie, 2.2 million in adjustments. That's going to throw those numbers just all over the place. So sometimes it might just be better if they were done, like I said, like a narrative. You just tell the story like what he came in and told us. And then he supported it with some numbers. And, I asked Ross about it, what's the concern? He said, if you go to court, an appraisal like this isn't going to hold up. You're going to need a narrative if you're going to go to court. But at the end of the day, I think he totally supported his $9 million ask, and I would support that. I think that I agree with what Carol said about it being on the market for, 14.
I
and if it's
personally
tax-
think that Rick is going to use this to now,
The price reduction.
yeah.
Yeah, and we have that other sale at 6.2 on Sasso, right? That unique property, and granted, it's a totally different house. It's not all this deferred maintenance, but, that
And a
also.
lot of that was cosmetic, that was in
Really good
good
shape. Yeah.
condition,
Right.
but just ugly.
This is just left to rot. I mean, with the water coming in all
Anybody
No
buying on Sasko
Right.
Hill
Well,
is
can I ask a question though about that? I'm sorry, Carol.
Hang on a second.
Go ahead,
No,
Carol.
I just said, anyone purchasing a property on Sasko Hill, by golly, is an extremely educated, sophisticated buyer. And I think that, the fact that they didn't even have a lot of showings. This is gonna be a very challenging sale, I think, even at 9.
I thought they never had an offer.
Never had an offer.
It was on for 48 million at one point,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know if it was, I don't remember.
I
but
thought
it was-
someone said
It was some
48
crazy amount of money, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I had in my notes.
I'm sorry, Peter wanted to ask a question.
Well, yeah, so, I mean, I hear, like, saying that it's not waterfront, it's not, and I understand why that is, but I mean, you are looking over a prestigious golf course, and, you do have harbor views, and, that's, so, and I'm not totally disagreeing with what he provided, but, I just feel like, it might have been closer to his 10 than, I know he said, he got to 10 and then, backed it down more, so.
He said he just didn't feel like he could support the 10.
I mean, the buyer who paid $6 million, or whatever, for Jackie Herbert's property was definitely not gonna pay $6.2 million for this property.
And the longer it sits, and the more
It was
it's a shame.
28,000.
No, not 48.
28 million, 500, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The longer it stays, it's just, I hate to see a house get like that. I mean,
Oh.
it'll be, like Peter said, beautiful location, great views, nice piece of property. You just let it get like this.
Yeah,
It's
and
an
he can't have a
absolute
dock,
sin.
Right,
right?
they'd have a dock, that's
You can't
right.
have a dock.
It's just a housekeeper,
Right,
you know,
sand,
can't go
go down
to
the
the water,
street to
taking
the
care of
access to
it.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, this property sat vacant for many years.
Right, before
When,
he took
after
it.
Cento
Yeah.
and then got into financial trouble, and then it just sat there. Then, I don't know, was he the second owner that came along?
I think
and-
I don't remember. I
And,
didn't look.
and then, and finished
He's
the
owned it for a
building.
while, yeah.
But he doesn't live there either, it's just,
Nobody
it's
lives
just a caretaker that lives there.
I
It's a
think,
small
I think a while ago that the
So
white
when a
was
house
living there
is
and I.
left
so he
vacant
bought it in
like that-
1990.
Yeah,
$5
so he,
million.
so he was the one who finished it, yeah. But, well,
You know, it does have the
really,
indoor pool, it's got the elevator, the squash court, I mean, it's got all of
I
these
can only
things.
imagine what that pool's like
you
now.
know, but it's hideous in that big bubble thing
But
that,
it's
you
gonna
know.
be difficult to sell, and Carol's, I mean, if it's on at 14 million, and the taxes are, right, sometimes those properties, they're assessed or appraised at 21 million, and so your taxes are too
Mhm.
high,
Yeah, nobody's
no
gonna-
matter what you can do.
Right.
In this case, even at 12 million, the taxes would reflect that,
Yeah.
and it's not selling,
Yeah.
so
I
it's
had-
probably not
I
worth
had a
buying.
property on Governor's Lane that the town had, I took it over and I looked right at it and said, these taxes are too high. And I got an appraiser to come in. I said to them, we need to, this is before I was on the board, you need to appeal these taxes. And I had, actually Harriet came in and did an appraised value, to support a reduction in the price because the seller wasn't convinced that he was like, I wanted to be what the town says. And we came in at 1.9, and before it sold at like the end of, the beginning of the first quarter, but the town took the 1.9 that I had it as a list price and changed it on their own, which I thought was quite interesting. It originally was like valued at 2.4. So I guess my point is that even if we weren't to do this, if Rick is able to lower the price to 9 million, the number could stay at 9 million anyway, but I'm just giving that side note. I make a motion to grant the appeal for 9 million.
All in favor? It's unanimous. Next. Bill number 30. Bill number 30, the name is Colosso, they didn't give a first name.
Raymond and Kathleen,
Okay.
Kathleen O'Connell or something.
738 Roland Road. Single-family dwelling. Town, value $984,600. Appellate's estimate of value is $825,000 even. Excessive land and improvement values, okay? And we have an affidavit.
And this has an appraisal as well.
This has an appraisal, Greg Lane did this appraisal as well. Let's get to that. Who's another police in? Okay, he gave the value of 825, his appraisal. And let's see if we can figure out.
You know what I meant to ask him, and I don't think we asked him this year, of the number of phone calls he gets requesting an appraisal for
Oh,
tax
yeah.
appeals.
Yeah.
How many does he actually, he does his sort of quick, rough
Mhm.
review. How many does he actually accept? Forgot to ask him that.
Enough that you go to Florida.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I'll
true.
ask him in Florida. Yeah, I guess my point is that these appraisers don't like to take money from people if they don't think they have a case.
Well, what good would it be if they really don't have a case and it's obvious? They're gonna lose, and then somebody paid them, and they're not, They're
Well,
not
they
gonna be
can't
happy.
support it. I mean, they can't support
But
it.
that's the thing, they
They
can't
wouldn't even
support it,
do it. It's like they're, how can you be passionate about something that you don't believe in yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, so I have a couple comments on this, and if you guys looking at the appraisal or not, so.
Yeah, we're looking at it.
Yeah,
We're
so
looking at it,
first
yeah.
thing I noticed was that the buyer did buy it in September,
Right.
of 2019 for $785. So that's just outside the reval, period. And, you know, doing my time adjustments, like I like to do, that would bring them up to $833. You know, if you started in April and did the 1% in the beach area, and he paid that just outside the reval period. So I would say, you know, that he's too high at 984, and just on his own sale alone, I would go to like 833 or something like that. And then I did look at the comps on here that Greg used. One of them, 365 Penfield, it did sell for $800,000, but again, it's a 1931, and it was a tear down. So I asked Paula, they didn't get added to the chart, but if we can get them added. But I wanted to see what it looked, because if you look at the field card now for the first comp, 133 Rhoda, or 365 Penfield, you see a picture of the new construction house. I wanted to see what it looked like before. So it was a cape that was elevated, obviously just as limited as you could, and, you know, so it ended up being a tear down. So that's what, if I can find it here, the nope, that's not it. Maybe it was the Rhoda? Which one was the tear down? And one was significant, they were both significantly improved. Where's the picture? Oh, I can't find it.
On page 19.
Yeah, no, of the property prior to the,
Oh.
I'm looking at the comps now, and I guess I can't find it. I'm looking, oh yeah, this is it. Anyway, it was torn down. It was a 1930 cape. It was a cape that was raised and like just concrete put underneath it. I'm sure to be FEMA compliant, and it was torn down. So for those first two comps, those are basically, for the most part, they were land sales. That's what I would say. And then 333 Roland is one that's way up in the beach area. That's a BC3, so I don't know that I would have necessarily used that as a comp. A lot of people used it because I think it may have been a low sale, but that was up the street. So, and then what was the other one? 296 Lally, sold for $975. But again, I didn't love, like, some of the things that, I didn't love that those two tear downs were on there, and they didn't mention that they were tear downs. But what he talked about mostly when he presented it was the pie shape of the lot and the easement, the significant conservation easement on the side of the property, and that there's very little that you can do with the property. And so, again, I have the map too, because in the backup, he went downstairs, right, and he got copies of the Schedule
Yeah.
A. Right, and you can see that there's a large marsh easement on the side, but where's the picture? Well, I guess I actually have the plot plan. He included a picture of the pie-shaped lot, and there's that kind of the line, the marsh access line that goes between his property and the other. But if you look, I'm gonna get it added to the chart, but, if you look at the drawing from conservation or whatever, it will show how close that easement comes to his porch, how wide it is, and, you know, it's a significant, significant thing, never mind that the lot is, you know, pie-shaped. I mean, so I would prefer not to just go to the 925. I would prefer to do a
825.
land adjustment, or 825, of like 0.8 on the land and get him really close to that value, because then it's gonna stick in the long run as opposed to just, and maybe we can get it to stick anyway, but I think I did a point.
Why are we not going with,
I think if you do 0.8 on it, it goes down to like 835. If you do a 0.75 on it, it goes below the requested value.
but I'm just curious, if you paid $785 for it in, really 2 weeks before 10/1/19.
Again, because properties in the beach area, according to Greg, who time adjusted his sales on this one too, right? That the beach started appreciating in April or May, and you add 1% every month. And if you do that, if you time adjust his purchase, it comes to 833, which is about 10,000 higher than what Greg is asking
Here's the
for.
valuation period,
So,
though.
Again, we're
I
using,
know, but
we're using that, again.
Are you
Again,
saying,
we're using that, and we have no valid reason to use that on every single one, and we're not a bank.
well, if Greg used it on
But
his
he used it-
appraisals,
he
can we
used it
talk
on
about it
some of
on his
them.
appraisals?
Yes, but he used it on the ones where the bank forced him to use it.
I don't think so. I think he's got it on.
What did he say? Some banks made him use it.
He's got it on this appraisal. He actually made a mistake. That's right, because on this particular appraisal, it's page 16 of the backup. He has something called, there's a date of sale / time. And so he goes to 10/1/2020. So for the first one was a March 20 sale, so he added 26,400 in value. For the 365 Penfield, that was a November 19 sale, and he added $40,000.
So he
And then
adjusted, is what you're telling
He
me.
adjusted for time, that's what
Okay.
I'm saying, when he did his appraisal, and then under the 295 Lally, he actually should have subtracted $5,850, but instead he added it, because it's actually after the period, right? He's got a 10/30 sale date, but he added money, he should have taken it away on that third comp. So he made a mistake on that
so
third comp by about.
so instead of the 825 brings him up to, with the adjustment, brings him to what? With the time?
If you do, with the time adjustment, I mean, just look at page 16 of the thing, you'll see what the time adjustment does. So on that
Yeah, it's
last one, if you
8:30,
subtract-
it's 8:33, 775, 773, and 8:42, but she is, I agree with Kathleen's comment that it's supposed to be a negative, so call it 8:35. So 8:33, 775, and 8:30 something.
I'm okay.
Right, and so I think that if we put a point, I can, or maybe Carol, if you have your calculator, if you put a 0.8 on, there's no adjustment for the land at all. And if you
Put
put
it
a
on-
0.8 on the
what's the-
land,
What's the land
think it's-
valued at?
let me find the card. Yeah, comp 2 is a tear down, that's the one that was the low sale, the 773. The land is at 670, 700.
I guess I would question,
I'm just saying, that's what
Yeah.
Ross can do whatever he wants, but if we can
not
say
really, we
sort
can
of-
tell him what we want him to do. He can't tell us what to do. We can say to him, we're asking you to reduce it this way. If the board makes a decision.
We can't, we can only give him the total value, and we can make suggestions, but he can do whatever he wants with the card. He can make it however he wants,
Well,
all we
then-
can do is give him a value.
So then I'm not gonna go with it, that, whatever that number was, something 833, and here's why. Because my plan was to say, I don't care what we say that the house is worth or whatever, but that land, as you pointed out, it's pie-shaped, so he's got very little ways to go with it. You can't really do much with it. You can't meet the setbacks. Now we have a significant conservation easement, there's marsh or whatever. So is really taking 20% off the value of that enough? Probably not. Because if you can't do anything with it,
But it's gonna get him close to 825, right? What does it get him to?
Well, it brings the
down
land to
75%,
536.
70%.
And the total value to,
All I have is the land. I just did the math on the land.
so the house, so add to that number, 313,900.
Call it 314.
If we brought the
That's-
land down.
that's
520.
850. That's
850?
850 clean.
At
So-
8.8, okay.
850. It's not the
right.
833. I mean,
So
I just wanted to know whether, does anyone have page 16 open besides me? I'm trying to see if he adjusted for that funky pie shape on the land as well as the easement. It seems like that would have been part of an appraisal, no?
Actually, I don't know if he,
only the acreage.
I don't
yeah,
know,
site.
I don't know that he adjusted for that thing, because he found that after the fact. This was done. And then he went down after he gave his presentation at the hearing, and then went down and found that
Oh.
land had that easement on it. So that doesn't, he's not
Yes,
counting
you're
that
right
in
about
this.
that.
But he knows about the pie shape before he did
Yes, but he doesn't know about he didn't know about the problem with the easement, because he didn't know it until he went back and checked, and then
Right.
came up here afterwards and gave us the paperwork.
Yeah, the only site adjustment he makes on here is, it looks like to me it's for the acreage, right? Because it's a smaller lot, it's .12, where some of the other ones are .22, .3 acres. So he's adjusting that way, but I don't see him making another adjustment
Right, for
for
that.
an odd shape. Usually you make that adjustment in the site, and I'm only seeing him doing it for
Yeah.
the,
Well, I
Right,
mean,
not
I
for
just,
today.
in my head, the 825 probably is on a good day, because if we kind of disregard that one in the middle, we're at 833 and 838.
yeah. And when I time adjusted up, I came to 833
Right.
from his own sale. So that's why I feel like, yeah, probably around 833, something like that. And then, you know, again, if we recommend that Ross at least takes the land to 0.8, that's gonna get his land value down, which is the majority of his issue, right?
His land, yeah.
Is the land,
So if
right?
he takes it down to 0.8, what number do we, is that the number, is that where you're getting the
We
830?
will,
No,
we
it
will have
comes
to
to,
make more
it comes
adjustments.
to
Have to adjust it
higher.
more.
It comes to
I thought it was
850.
gonna get lower.
So let's just, well then, all we have to say is adjust the land down to 70%,
That's gonna take them really low.
75%.
I don't know why we are doing this. Why
we
can't we
give them a
just based
number?
on
We can give them a
value?
number, yeah, why don't we
Can
just
we
give them a
say
number on
bring
the
them
land?
down to like 520 or something?
You can't make it work that way. I think we should just decide on a value, and he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
He'll probably he's gonna take the land down, because everybody knows that's a problem. The conservation easement, the size of the lot, and the shape of the lot.
My problem with that is I don't think he gives a value that is true. He just gives him something. I just don't, especially in this case
Well,
where that land
we
is
can't
so
ignore the
difficult
man's
to work with.
sale.
Right, can't
When
ignore
was
the
this-
sale.
When was his sale again?
September 2019.
September
And he paid
2019.
785, right.
785.
It's 1,980 square feet, and he is in a BP one. He's close to the beach. He's not FEMA compliant, but he is close to the beach. But he paid 785, you know, and he's at 984, 600. I didn't look to see if he had, did he go to the informals at all?
September.
Yeah, he did get a change in value at MBS.
You good with what?
I'm good with Greg's appraisal.
If you want to do the
I have no problem with it.
825 or 835.
I say, just give him the appraisal
835,
value.
but I'm okay.
Especially since he paid 7.
Yeah.
And Greg did his math wrong, so he cheated himself out of $10,000 on the appraisal.
Well, you wanna somebody make a motion, let's get on to the next one, because we only have one left, and we wanna make sure we get
Yeah,
done.
I mean, Carol, are you good with 825?
Yeah, I am, and because of the, I'm at the 830 something number, but then I think because of all the stuff with the property, I think 835 is a little generous.
Yeah, and actually, I think, Carol, with the ad, we had to subtract like 10,000. I don't think you subtract 5, right? You actually have to,
Oh,
All
am I
right.
doing my math right?
Okay.
Anyway, whatever.
so,
825.
All right, I make a motion that we approve, the appellant's, request for 825,000.
All those in favor? Okay, 4 opposed? 1 opposed, Peter Rupert. Give Carol a chance to write that down, go on to the next one. Okay.
yeah,
Last
I
one.
got it.
Okay, appeal number 31,
Oh,
Kruger, Annie Kruger.
I've known Annie since she's been born.
Oh, that's pretty good. 208 North Cedar Road, single-family residence, current value, appraised at $1,191,000. Her estimate of value is $777,291.
I have videos on this too, remember?
Yeah, we have to show the video, yeah. Okay. Whatever
So,
realtor in the,
just, like, have a personal relationship with this?
Just know her.
right, I don't have lunch with her.
Well, her mother is a Realtor, Annie's a Realtor. I mean, we've worked alongside both of them,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and she's, I
So was
I
it-
didn't
did
sit
you
in on
discuss
this one, but
This,
she's at the beach club.
Yeah,
did you
we all
discuss
know.
this appeal with her outside of the sworn,
I
when
haven't,
she was
no.
sworn?
I
I
haven't,
know, although
I
Ross would probably.
don't know her that well.
Okay, so she doesn't even know her, so, you've known her a long time, I haven't known her that long. Worked with her mother, because we used to work all in the same place. I have a conversation with her about the appeal before outside of the hearing. Are you referring to the fact that Ross saw me talking to her in the hallway?
No.
Did he squeal to everybody like the little weasel squealer he is?
I'm just asking.
I'm just answering.
If you had,
Not about this, no. I've had conversations with her, but not about this.
this,
Not about her
this
property.
appeal.
Not about her property, absolutely not about her property, no.
All right.
Okay, so here we go. All right, so she's saying her property has wetlands determined by a soil sample and included on a survey, at Town Hall. Okay, so she brought
How
us.
does she support her value of $777 when she paid, right, she bought it just outside the reval for
Right, and
$1,350,000?
Yep, another one of those people who, was buying a house in the winter, and there was snow on the ground, and when she went back in April to do the final walkthrough, the ground was really wet. And sometimes that happens in April anyway. So she asked the Realtor, she was representing herself, so she asked the Realtor, what did she say, Helene? Something about why is it, they noticed water, I don't know if it was water running through the property, I'm not sure I totally got the whole thing.
No, she asked the agent if there were wetlands, and the agent said no.
No.
So
Who was her,
there were
she wasn't her own agent?
She was her own agent, but she wasn't listing the property, she was the buyer.
Yeah.
So she asked the listing agent.
And she didn't have another broker representing her, she was representing herself.
Representing herself.
And there were
Yep.
tenants in the house, and the sellers lived in Norway.
So she asked the agent representing the seller, the listing agent, if there were wetlands on the property, and she said, no.
Wouldn't you, if you were the buyer's agent, wouldn't you go check? Like, if you were representing me and I was buying a property through you, would you, and I
Yes,
asked you
but I've
for
been doing this
wetlands,
for 23 years.
you would go to the counter and ask.
Annie hasn't been doing
She
it.
hasn't been that long. I would do it because, I would have learned the
Should've
hard way
looked
through the
herself,
years.
right? I mean,
Well.
But
she
it's supposed to be
should've,
disclosed. It's actually, it's unethical. We're not allowed to not, if there's wetlands on the property, we are supposed to disclose that on MLS.
on MLS, so the
Right.
listing broker
Yeah.
did not
disclose it.
who is, I mean, you don't have to say.
Julie Vanderbilt.
Well, is that something that person, she should go?
Well, she
Talk to
wasn't,
Julie.
some buyers don't do that because they don't know enough to do it or they don't think of it. If you ask the listing agent, especially if it's somebody who's technically a colleague, was there wetlands in it? And they say no. If you didn't have a lot of experience, you might be tempted to believe that.
But
Well,
she's a
you wouldn't
broker.
ask it. It would have to be disclosed on MLS. You wouldn't ask it
We
because
have to ask it.
we're
It's supposed to be disclosed
we're
in a couple of different
required
ways.
to
Last
state
time
it.
it sold, or no, it wasn't listed was it on the how long was it on the market?
I don't know how long it was on the market. I didn't look at this
Was it
list.
on and off? I mean,
No,
that's
it wasn't
really
one of those
nice.
on and off
No,
properties.
no.
No,
It's a really nice street, right? North Cedars are nice.
Oh, yeah.
it's a really nice street. You're right.
So, but did she bring in any comps?
Oh, yeah, well, wait, she talked about one comp, but before we even get to the comp, did you look at the map? Did you look at the survey?
I listened to the, thing.
Oh, she was,
I
the whole
did,
time,
yeah.
the whole time she was talking, she was showing us the survey.
Yeah, in the backup, there's a map in the backup, because she had a survey done, right? So it's in blue or
Well, it was
something.
done,
that
she didn't do it, it was done prior, but none of this was given to her. She found it at Town Hall when
Right.
the yard is always wet, and she's like, this can't go on.
Yeah, Mr. Dennis Boyd, right, there was a wetlands, right, it was flagged,
Yeah,
and
you can see it on the map, it's
delineated,
flagged,
there was a
and
map.
then there's soil samples
So
done by
where was
soil
the map?
scientists. I don't know where it was. Let me just say it this way, not that I'm perfect, God knows. But if I had listed this property, in the house, there would have been a binder book with a copy of the survey, a copy of the soil samples, a copy
Wow.
of the wetland map. And I would have disclosed that information because that's what you do. I don't want to get sued and it's only fair to the buyer. None of that was there. So she found this when she decided to look around Town Hall. Helene, show the video.
Yeah.
You really want to get a look at
I
what the
could hear
property
the video with her squishing around.
Yeah.
I listened to it. I listened, I couldn't see it, but I
You
could
can see standing water on it.
So it's buffering.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those properties, the ones across the street in North Cedar are in the floodway. Like many of those properties over there, you put on the
Yeah.
flood map, they are FEMA, they can get FEMA insurance
Yeah.
in there because they're in the floodway. So it's, and those properties don't have wetlands listed on their property card either, but they're in the floodway.
Right, but
Now,
that's different.
That's MLS, which is separate from this.
That's different, though. There might be both. If you're in the floodway, that's one issue. Wetlands are another issue, but you could have both
Well,
on the same property.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, especially if the river's overflow. So I guess
So she's got standing water on the property a good part of the year. The yard is wet, what'd she say, most of the year.
did she say she overpaid for it?
No, she didn't say that. I don't remember her saying that. If somebody remembers
Because she
it,
paid
chime in.
$1,350,000 and
Can
the
you
town
just
has
show
that.
me, like, 'cause
Yeah,
where,
well, see where
like,
it is?
Well,
yeah, like where she was, like where
There were
she was.
multiple bids on it
walking,
when
right?
it, when.
And then she was like, you know,
I
using the
believe,
video, right?
okay, I believe she was, I thought she said it, but I'm not positive, so I don't want to misquote. But I thought she said when she was doing that walking around the yard squishing, she wasn't too far from the back of the house to the patio. Am I correct or not?
Yes.
Okay. So
I
she was
have-
close
I
to
have-
here, Peter. Here's the front,
Yeah, yeah.
here's the back. She was close, she was in here, because and then if you, it's hard to see on these maps, but Helene took a picture of it so we could see it better. This is, here's the wetlands, right in here,
Yeah.
okay?
Mhm.
Now, at
Yeah, I can see it
conservation.
on the, in here
At
too.
conservation, they said that from here, the beginning of the line, back into the other, beyond it, nothing's gonna get done to that property. And in order to do anything, you have to put a bridge, you have to have a wetland crossing, which is so expensive, nobody's gonna do it. So that part of the property is out, but it's always wet. And then this part here is always wet, that's the setback. Now, did she mention, I don't remember, did she mention the thing about the water running through the property?
She probably has a little stream in the back.
She has a
I
little
can see
stream in the
that.
back.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
She did say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or a drain or something, right? She's got a drain that she has to unclog.
Right.
You,
There's something
you
so-
can see it.
Right,
Yeah, I couldn't remember, I just didn't want to give the wrong information.
Yeah,
yeah.
So that's what her property looks like, wet all the time.
she can't do a pool.
And I think she mentioned in her comments that, you know, they bought this house and they were having like a plan, what, a 10-year plan, a 5-year
It's
plan?
right on the GIS, you can see the water.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean,
So, look,
you
all
can
I'm
see the
saying-
river line.
Okay, well, anyway, she
Next
has
door
plans
has
to
it.
do something with this house. Like they were gonna, yeah, they have little kids, so they're gonna raise a family, put in a pool, do this, do that, and now they can't do any of that.
Well, no, they can put
Now
it in a
she's
pool, there's
thinking-
just, she just has to put it closer to the
No, she's
house.
not gonna be able to put in a pool,
Oh,
and here's why.
She said she could, the neighbors would just be able to look into it.
Oh,
because
she's gotta
it'd
put
be-
it on the side, maybe.
Has to put it
It's
to
on
the
the side, yeah, she can't put it on the
I'm-
shed.
I'm looking at the MLS, just because I'm really curious. The lot description says on a cul-de-sac.
In my screen.
Okay.
That's the only thing being
On a cul-de-sac.
disclosed.
The
That's
cul-de-sac
what
with
it
your own
says.
long pond, your own
It
private pond,
says
and running water.
plenty of room for a pool.
Really?
The expansive property offers many options.
Hey, guys, I mean, well.
Not many
whatever,
options.
girls, ladies. I know, but, I mean, the reality is this is an issue between her and her broker.
No,
and
the reality
MLS.
is-
It's not a town
No,
issue.
yes, it is, because, conservation isn't sure what that water's from. They think it's from
A broken
a
pipe.
broken pipe.
It probably is a broken drain pipe.
Yeah,
That's what they look
think
like. We
it's
had them in Lincoln
yeah.
Park. We
Yeah.
knew when they broke, that's what happens, especially if there's a drain back there and she has to clear stuff off. Right,
Well,
but
whose responsibility is that?
a homeowner, probably. Probably was an old farm and it had
Well, it was.
drains. It's low
Yeah.
back there, right, in the back. The neighbor next door at 240 has the same, they've got the grassy thing on the GIS on there as well. And like I said, most of the lots in there are wet. Across the street, there's a pond at 189, right? That's Tara Holly or somebody's in there.
Across the street.
Yeah, and she's in the floodway, like she's got FEMA flood stuff
I
on her
can't believe I
property.
can't open these videos.
Yeah.
So frustrating.
So anyway, she's,
So the question is like, what, I mean, she didn't bring any, does she have any
she
comments?
mentioned one comp.
Yeah, I heard
hold on,
that,
see if you can look it up.
1475
Burr
That's
Street,
John Brown.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but that didn't sell.
What does it
It's
matter?
just a wet product.
She's talking about her land value.
I know, but she needs to provide market data to support her.
How is she going to do that
She's
to
gonna
support
find a
anything?
sale.
She could have said $1 million. How is she gonna do that, how is she gonna find the exact same kind of issue in somebody's backyard as she has in hers?
She just goes find a wet property and find out what it sold for and say, if I'd known that it had this, I got duped and I overpaid.
Well, I mean,
That's what
speaking of
she
John
did.
Brownlee's, his property was like
Super
dirt
wet.
cheap.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's what I'm saying.
And listen, I don't know if she got duped. I mean, first of all, she's a sophisticated,
She's a
buyer here. She's a realtor. She's, family of realtors. She also said she bought it after 15 minutes of being in the house. I mean, so.
Well, that's the way it
she made
was.
very, well, I agree, but.
That wasn't impulsive, that's the market, you couldn't do
Right,
anything
well,
about it.
And she did say, when she
But-
found out that it was wet, she said, but I would have bought it anyway. That's what she said in her
I didn't hear that.
testimony.
She did, yeah.
She did. She said, I would have bought it anyway.
Yeah,
So
but
we found it out towards the
Okay.
end, but I would have bought it anyway.
I thought she
why,
said, what I thought I
my
heard her
question
say
is, why
was,
isn't she, why is?
what I thought I heard her say was that they went to the walkthrough, and she asked about the water, and Julie said, no, there was no wetland. And she's like, you know, what are we gonna do, hold up the closing, is what I heard her say. So she didn't hold up the closing,
I
because
don't
how you
know.
gonna hold up the closing? It's the day you're selling, you're buying, where are you gonna go live? So I didn't hear her say she would've bought it anyway, maybe she did, I don't remember, I remember her saying,
In her testimony,
That's
I mean,
right.
what she said on the tape, that's what she said. We would have bought it anyway. We love the house.
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
And she paid $1,350,000 for it, so unless she can prove that, you know, she brings us some other sales that are exactly same as that are wet and a
can
much
we give her another
lower,
3 months to do that, because she's gotta go find them?
she can come back next year if we get.
No, we're not waiting till, I'm not, no.
Well, I mean, I
Pull up 1475 Burr Street.
But
And I'll
that
tell you what my
didn't
point is.
sell.
I don't care, I'm telling you what it doesn't have
No,
to.
I know how wet that, I've been there, I know
You know how wet it is. Now,
wet.
what is the value of that land?
It doesn't matter, it
So
didn't
why,
sell.
why can't she have, you know, a deduction on
Her
her?
land,
Well,
that's
how
all.
much you
We're
gonna
not-
deduct
I'm not
it
gonna say,
from?
I'm not saying we're gonna go to 777, I'm not saying that.
Well, why are you gonna, because she paid, and
I don't
she's,
care.
but she's at 1191, she's less than what she paid for. Right, if you adjust her back, because, you know, go backwards, she's gonna
Here we go
come
with that
back.
again.
I'm just saying,
I
that's
know.
what the tool I've been using when people close, and
I
she
know, and
closed
you're using it and I'm not,
She
so
closed in
it's a problem.
April, but if
Mhm.
you back her out, she's probably from $1,350,000, which is what she paid for. She's probably gonna be back right about $1,191,000, which is exactly where she is.
And, okay, so buying that,
She's correct, as far as I know, and there's two other sales on the street. 410 North Cedar sold for, you know, that's another sale on the street, and then 172 Cedar sold the year before for $1,000,008, and she's got a big house. She's got, what, 3,000?
What is the land, what's the condition,
Tell me
what
about
is
the
the
land on
land
Bird Street.
condition?
I think she's
On
got
her
a,
property?
yeah.
There isn't
Yeah.
any, but most of the houses on that street that are in the floodway, they don't have any
It
land
doesn't matter,
adjustments
so they
either.
didn't come, that, because the assessor didn't do it.
He doesn't
Everybody
need
who-
to.
He doesn't need to, the property's like wet all the time, you squish when you walk on it, there's no need to make an adjustment. But I know of a house where we got an adjustment of 15%.
Right.
Wonder how that happened. I mean, how much is that land worth?
Wait, which one?
1475.
Burr Street?
1475
That's not the
Burr
same
Street.
neighborhood.
Doesn't matter.
324.
And it didn't sell.
It's Greenfield Hill.
Did he,
So it's basically the
he
same
didn't sell
neighborhood.
it, right? He
No, I'm not saying he
rented
sold it, I'm
out.
asking what the assessor did to the land value. I'm not saying that he sold it. I'm only looking at what happened to his land value.
I
You know how
understand that.
you know how wet it is.
But you can't, we're trying to get to market value, and the only way to get to market value is to look at a sale. And if the market value is wrong, then you start to look into the card and say, okay, why is that, and what can be done to get this market value? And that's the assessor's job, to go in and do that. But we can't just go, if everybody says, I've got wetlands on my property, like a third of this town has wetlands or wetland setbacks in them, everybody's gonna get a reduction for no reason that's not supported by
But it's
research
okay
data.
for some people to get a reason,
Haven't
get a
we done
deduction.
that?
If there's a reason, he goes and changes the cards for that. We don't change people's, no, we don't give people deductions just to give them deductions. We give them deductions if their market value is wrong.
Uh-huh.
That's why we give them deductions.
So what did you say that? what
Like
did you
Greg
say the
Lane's
value of
one,
that land
right?
was?
The one that Greg just did.
For
That's
Burr,
an odd-shaped lot.
324.
What did he do to that?
324. Oh,
What did he do with like the factors, condition factors?
wetland conservation,
Oh, I wanna do the
wetland
commercial.
adjustment. Okay, so it says wet conservation, and then wet, 10,900.
Well, he's got extra land, so we can't count
Yeah,
that.
Yeah,
The 2 acres, because that's the zoning.
right. 0.9,
0.9?
yeah,
Well, because he's got the discount for the extra land, that's why.
yeah.
So he wasn't gonna do it twice.
By the way, this home was listed before it was listed with the
Yeah.
current,
I think it's been on the market
with a
before.
different broker, and they didn't disclose the wetlands either.
I honestly don't think they knew. Because some people don't bother to go get the information. Do you? I do. I had taken off.
And if there were multiple offers, someone else was gonna buy it for $1,375,000.
Right, thinking that it, did not knowing that it was wet.
Right, so the market clearly supported a price up above $1,300,000, right, if there were multiple offers.
Right, however,
She's at $1,191,000, so I just don't see how we can, I mean, if anything, we could raise it to, something higher, because it's sold, other than the sales, if it sold October 1, 2020, I would argue that we can raise it. But she bought it 6 months later, so it's probably right. The total value is correct. That's what, right? Do you disagree the total value is wrong?
yes, I disagree, because the
What do you
land
think the
value is
value-
wrong. I think that land value needs to come down, that reflects
Okay,
the inability to walk on your lot without getting your feet squished and full of mud when it's muddy. So,
Maybe she just needs to find some comps,
she needs to find some comps and come back next year.
or,
But it's
Or
gonna
let's
be
do
really
this.
hard
Okay, well-
because she bought it for
But
that price.
we've done land corrections. That's the part I'm not understanding. And
Yeah.
are these wetlands, now I'm finally looking at the thing. Are the wetlands, they were close to her house. So many of us have wetlands on 2 acres, but it's really on the fringe. Wasn't
Hers
this,
is in
am
the
I
back.
wrong?
no,
It was
her-
very
she's
close.
got, they're not, the wetland itself is not up against the house. The wetland is more in the middle of the back, and then beyond it is not really usable, but from the wetland line toward the house, that's the setback.
Carol, I sent
Okay,
you a
yeah,
photo.
I'm looking, okay, I'm looking now. And then I'm just want to see her field card. I'm just trying to think here. I mean, why wouldn't we feel comfortable making a correction for for that extent of wetlands and easements? We did this last year for people that
Okay,
had,
correction. Here,
On square
well, when
footage,
did we-
why can't we make corrections on wetlands? I don't see why we
yeah,
can't.
Well, we
we've
don't
done,
measure for wetlands. We don't. We measure the size of a
well,
house.
we did
measure the
we did
improvement.
it last year.
Oh,
We
we
did
don't.
it
Oh, wait a
last
minute.
year.
I have a question, what do you mean we don't?
The assessor doesn't.
Well, we're not the assessor, we,
Right,
that's
the
you
town.
and him,
Sorry.
that's not me.
Right,
The
I'm
town
talking
measures
about the
size of
board.
their building. They don't measure.
They
how
don't,
much
yeah, they don't
wetland.
check for
What
wetlands.
are you
They
referring
don't
to,
measure the
Carol?
wetlands.
I am referring to, there were several properties. I had one of them in the Southport Mill Hill area in that development, and there was more than 50% of his lot was a
Oh, I
conservation
remember that, I do
easement.
remember that.
Yes, and
Yep.
we made a correction. I mean, again, we as the board approved. I don't know whether it was unanimous or not, but I do remember feeling in my head that it was deserving because another lot that's 1 flat acre of beautiful usable land is not the same as a lot that's not usable in the same way. I mean, that's just subjectively, that is,
Sales data? Yeah, I mean, that's what I said,
I don't know if they provide, I don't
we have
remember.
to get to the market value, that's our job, is the market value of October 1.
So funny it is that now
But I
they're saying
mean-
that, when I said it all night long, nobody bothered to listen.
But wait, so we just made an adjustment on Congress because of their location
Mhm.
next to the, the group home and the wetlands on their property.
Why did we do that?
And we didn't do it based on other sales. I mean, we did it because they
They have a hardship.
They have a hardship.
Because we didn't think it would sell for $1.6 million.
Right,
That's
right,
right.
right.
But this one, we're not saying we don't think it will sell for $1,350,000. And the same with Greg Lane's one at 980, the one we just did. We don't think it would sell for 984. So we brought it down to 825 because we think it's the land. So the card probably to reflect that so that the mass appraisal going forward isn't just an override, which is what Don Ross used to do. He just used to put an override on it, and then it would bounce back up the next time they come back. And that property consistently is going to need to stay low because of the weird pie shape. So you need to look at, we have to talk about first why it wouldn't sell for that value, figure out what value it should be, and then we adjust accordingly. Well, we can say, yeah, that's because it's got a lot of wetlands on it. So the same house next door on the same property is going to sell for another $50,000 more because it's not wet. Okay, then let's ask Ross to do something about the land on that property. So we can't do it the
But
other
she
way
has
around.
she has nothing on her field card, no adjustment?
No, I mean, we can ask them to add a
No.
note that says, you know, wetlands on the property in the notes, but that doesn't change the market value of the property. What we're saying is her house is worth less than what she paid for it.
Well, if
So
the
she has to
buyer
come in
knew
and-
that it was filled with wetlands,
Well,
at
that's
least
what I'm
half
saying.
of it.
Yeah.
If she came in and said, I got duped, I way overpaid, if I knew this land was wet, my house, I wouldn't have paid that, no one would have paid that, and people would have paid $1 million, they would have paid $777,000. I'll tell you, if that house was on the lot, if that house was on the market for $777, then I would have bought it. A lot of
Well,
other
you know
people
what's
would have.
interesting?
Well,
When
then
it
we
did-
come to the board
when
and
it
say,
did
oh, I have
sell-
wetlands on my property, like we did the last time, and then we
Yeah,
can
but we
reduce
just
that
don't,
price.
that's how because we just have to think about the market value first, and
That's what I always say, but this is the
I
first time I'm
think-
hearing that from you.
I think the snow was the big duper. Because
Yeah.
the house did not sell the 6 months prior, which also was COVID timing. And I think it's because there was no snow and it was shot and it was being shown probably with all that squishy squish.
And
Well, then that tells
and they
you,
took-
that tells even more that that realtor who sold that house, or broker, whatever you call it, right, should be the one that she goes to address that problem with, because, you know, they obviously knew that, right? I mean,
Well, we think so, but how do we prove
Well,
that?
I mean,
if she
it
doesn't
Yeah.
come and show us market data.
it
to
didn't
prove
sell
it.
in 2020 for 1,249.
She's at she's at
I'm just
1191.
playing around with it, a 95%. 9.95 times the land value of, what is this, 723? I'm just curious. Plus.
I think she needs some adjustment on the
466.
land.
We have to look at the whole
Yeah.
property first.
No, we don't.
Yes.
They don't do it that way, Dee. I told you where to find that information. Mike Fazio gets the land value first, said it
That's
was his own mouth.
because it's a mass appraisal. He
Doesn't
has,
matter, he said that's how they do it, so we're just doing it the
but
same.
we don't have to. As a board, we look at market.
No, we don't
value.
have to, but we're saying we want to, there's a difference.
Well, if
I
we
mean, we
bring
only
it
can
down
tell
by,
you what-
I don't know
Actually,
how
we
far
can't.
you want to bring it, Paulette. That's the issue.
What value do you think it should be?
I don't know.
Sales price,
Let's
what
see.
number are you looking for?
I'm
That's
not
lower
looking,
than
I'm looking
1191.
I'm looking for a change in the land value that
I know.
reflects the kind of land she has. That's what I'm looking for.
I know, but in order to do that, you're then gonna have to raise the house to get her back to 1191.
I don't have to get her back to 119, whatever. I'm not looking for that.
So,
Okay.
what'd you find, Carol?
Well, I did at 50, I'm sorry. I did a 5% reduction. I just started there. And it's 1152, becomes the total number. What is her ask again?
Well, the ask.
777.
And I know how she got that number, and I
Yeah.
remember. Didn't she
I
tell
remember
us?
too. She said 50% of the land.
50% of the land is
50%
wet,
off her
is
land.
not usable, so I'm
No,
gonna take that
okay.
off. So I definitely
I don't-
did it. I'm not saying it's right, but I just do remember how she did it.
No, I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with the
I don't
777
think
either.
anybody
No, I don't agree with that. That's crazy.
We're not
But
gonna
you
do
might
any more,
go-
right? So I can start to.
Pardon me, this is the
Okay,
last
if
one
we
we
do
got.
a 90% reduction, not a 95, it
Yeah.
comes to 1116. I mean, we're not that far off, quite honestly.
And she paid 1,350. I mean, you just have to pay attention to that.
Yeah, I almost feel like that payment though is so marred with error. I'm not,
But that was in 21 also.
Right, that was in 21, let's take it
Yeah.
back.
We are,
Going
taking the
crazy.
135,
Take
it
it
goes
back.
back to 1191. That's where it goes back to.
Okay,
Right. So I think that's why I'm probably done talking about it, but I think she's right. I think it's right. Unless she can come in and show sales that shows these properties, you know, just to come back next year with some sales data.
maybe we
I
should
don't
let her
know
come
how to
back
do this.
tomorrow,
I don't know
because
how to
that's all
grant
you
this
walk bringing
apart.
things in that he shouldn't have been bringing in.
I'm sorry,
I
what,
mean,
Carol?
I'm just saying, so I'm trying to understand where the town number is versus where if I reduce the land. So if, like I just said, if I reduce the land by 90%, I'm
Down.
down to 111. I'm 80,000 off the town value, but it's not like I'm anywhere near her ask.
No,
So
well,
then
Oh,
it's
no,
like,
no, no,
okay,
I'm not, we're not gonna get that, we're not gonna get near there, no.
so then
No, I
is
think
it,
we all
okay,
agree
I'm
on
just
that.
saying, is that the right number? And like, would we, just forget about it, would we give a 90%, or would we give it a 0.85? I wish I could go back
I
and
like
see what we,
0.85 myself.
especially if she's got a
so
broken.
0.85 would bring it to 466.
If she fixes the drain.
$1,090,000.
That's not her problem, that's,
It's
engineering problem.
100,000 less,
I don't think they're
guys.
running out to fix
On a
it.
private drain.
Nope. It goes from somewhere across the street, or several properties down, is what Joanne said.
The town should fix it.
That they should fix the one that my neighbors do, and they don't do a thing about it, they don't fix them. And that's after being called out to go look at it. So I'm sorry, Joe, if we did 85%, what does it come to?
$1,090,000. It's 100,000 less.
So since I'm being accused of favoritism, you guys decide, I'll just sit here and listen. Seriously, whatever you guys think, because I think she deserves something, but I'm not gonna be the one to make the decision, because after all,
I'm just saying, I'm not anywhere near, that number was just a
None of us
calculation
are.
that none of us
yeah,
buy
don't worry
into.
about that
And
number.
now you're
Don't worry
doing
about
work
that number.
for her, which is not what we're supposed to do.
Excuse me, what work are we doing for her?
You're trying to help her get to some place where the number that she didn't come in and support.
But
She
we've
told
been
me
doing
to
that
come.
for,
You don't wanna use it.
I know, but I don't think we should be doing that. I don't.
Well, then you know what, everybody
We
has a
always
right to
tell them,
vote.
here's what you should do, go find some sales that support your price, and come back next year with some comps, and show us the sales comps that show that your house in, October 1, 2020, would have sold for whatever number you want,
but
777.
we didn't do that. I can't, no, we didn't do that last year. We voted on land. We just voted, when guys came in, we voted on the land, seen crappy stuff going on with the land, and we just voted on the land, so.
I mean,
I
it's
feel like
9:05,
we've
so-
said to that person that he didn't support the data because we had no other reason to consider it.
Do you wanna postpone till tomorrow night? We can go back and listen to the one from last year and figure out what we did and why we
No.
did it? Would that be useful?
No.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I know how my head thinks, and I know that that's what
Mhm.
I somehow convinced some people on the board to give it. And we're doing that. I mean, we just
If-
feel
I mean,
like
I'm gonna
when
go-
there's,
So at 90%, it's 1,116, correct? And at 85%, it's 1,090,000?
1090. I mean, I'm not exact, but I might be off by
And
1,000.
the other number is what? 1,116,000?
Which number?
The
90%.
90%.
90?
Yeah.
Let me just do it again. 720, I'm looking at the current appraised value of the land, 723,700 times 0.9 equals 651 plus the house, 466,100 plus that shed or whatever it is. It's 1,118,630.
1,118.
And that's a 90%.
Well, I would think that's the least we should give her on the land.
Someone making a motion so we can,
I'm staying out of it, they can decide.
Wait, why are you staying out of it?
I'm waiting to hear, because I'm not gonna be accused of favoritism yet again, when I'm just trying to be fair. So, you guys decide on the number, and I'll probably just
Well,
go
it
along with
doesn't-
it, but I'm not gonna discuss it
Well,
anymore.
Paulette, it doesn't matter. I mean, we all have different opinions at different times. It shouldn't matter. I don't know why you're, I don't really, I don't accept your reclusion. How's that?
Here's my reason. Because I don't need another call from, the selectman's office asking me if what Ross told them was true when it wasn't. I'm not gonna go through explaining that again. So I'm gonna stay out of it. When you guys
Okay.
decide, I'll vote. I'm gonna vote with
All
you.
right.
But you guys decide the number and I'll just go along with it. Because God knows, I wouldn't wanna be accused of anything else
Well,
that isn't true.
So I'd like to make the motion to, I mean, if we can actually do this, do the 90%, to bring it to one, I thought,
118,630.
so,
1,118,630. That is exactly a 90% condition.
Okay, so Peter, is that the motion you're making?
yeah, that's the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table. All in favor?
It's something.
Okay, so 4 in favor, opposed. Kathleen's opposed. And that's the last one.
And again, she can come, if she wants to get reconsidered for something else, I think, then we say, we're basing it based on the
Yeah,
data you
No, she can't come,
provided.
she can't come
She
back.
can't come back to us, she can go to court.
She can go to
Right.
court.
Right,
And
and
if-
she can
No,
wait till
right.
next year and do something else.
And if,
Right,
if the town
that's what I'm
does come
saying.
out there and clean, or fix that drain, right,
That's
that
another
condition
story.
would come off of.
Right, if that really does change
Yeah,
it, if it's
yeah.
not just the fact that,
Right.
it's, you know.
Okay,
Right.
I make a
Well,
motion
there's
to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
It's unanimous, I
Stop the
believe.
recording.
Meeting adjourned at 9:10 or 9:11 PM.